Yo, 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 yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? Give up the rack. And hello to my fellow revolutionaries. You know who you are. And welcome to this Friday stream. It is the 14th of November, where I am coming from 11 a.m. And let me just say this, if you're coming to us from another point in time, maybe an earlier date, let me just say the future is bright and happy Friday to all of you. Friday, as we know, is a very, very special and anticipation filled day on the working week calendar. It is the eve of the weekend, those 2 days that you can escape the clutches of capital. So, on the eve of the weekend, we do like to celebrate and recognize this absolutely amazing situation. So, let's call it for what it is, shall we? 4AS is in the house. Yo, 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 what's up, what's up? Give up Far Right Fridays. It's a trend now. It is a bit of a trend now, not going to lie. So not sure how you feel about that, but it is what it is for now. We'll see if it stretches on forever, but we'll ride that wave as long as we need to. Jags, give up your 80s ski glasses. Yeah, I know, right? We did actually get an understanding. Someone actually linked the other day. I think it was probably Indoctrinathan, who linked where they get all of their sunnies from. And it's all, yeah, 80s ski glass aesthetic stuff. That's where our Australian neo Nazis like to shop. They like Aspen. Dumb Turtles, I think I've pronounced that properly. Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm not sure if you've been here before. Let us know if you're a newbie. We're in the pub, 5x5. Get ready for some chop. All right, it's going to get a bit choppy in the house today. And yeah, Dilemmas, welcome. Welcome. It's good to have you. Anyone else who is hanging out, if you're doing the roll call, let me know. If you're just lurking today, let me know too, just so I'm across who is here and who is not. And an aesthetic that will never be ironic, white supremacists in black attire. Their sunnies, so good. Fucking Aussie slang rocks. Oh, sunnies, yes, sorry. Sunglasses, the head apparel that covers the eyes, the sunnies, yes. Yeah, I know, white supremacists in black attire never gets old. Look, if they wore their whites and their Sunday bests, then all the blood would show when they get into fights with the anti-fascists, and like they don't want to show anyone that they bleed. So that's what it's all about. And yes, Aussie slang rocks. Don't forget it. All right, so just before we get into today's events, let's do the usual. On this eve of the weekend, of the 2 days called as such, the end of the week where you get to be away from the clutches of capital, let us just take a moment to recognize how important this is. So I'd like to pay my respects to workers, past, present, and emerging. It is on your shoulders that the entirety of the modern world has been built. It is on your labor. It is the value that you have created and you will create, and future generations of working people will create, that will continue modernity as we know it, or let's call it industrial society like we know it. So pat yourself on the back and thank all of those around you. It is because of people like you and me, working people that actually create value, not the ones that just speculate on stuff and control the economy from afar. People that really put in the hard yards. They have shaped the world. They will continue to do so. So take a moment to recognize how important you are and your contributions, and people just like you. And I hope you celebrate the weekend. Like, enjoy your time off. I hope you get time off. And like, if you really have to work, you have to exchange your labor on the labor market somewhere. I hope you get duly compensated for that. And like, if you get penalty rates, or time in lieu, or a day off somewhere else, I hope that you are compensated for that, because it is little things like this that working people really have struggled for in the past, and that we all get as a luxury. And it is a luxury. It's not a right. The weekend is not a right, and we are seeing that. Because capitalism is changing, the economy around us is changing, and your work is becoming more precarious, it's becoming harder to obtain, and there's more justifications to erode things like the weekend, which is a sacred time that working people clawed back for themselves. So don't take it for granted. They can and they will take it away if possible. If you're watching this on TikTok and you're wondering what's going on, we are also watching videos outside of that, but the interface on TikTok doesn't work like that. So if you really want to follow along what we're doing today, come over. There's a YouTube link in the bio. Click on that and you can follow along with the videos that we're watching today. We're going down the right-wing pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Friday tradition, as Voreas has pointed out. It may not be one that lasts forever, but it's pretty topical at the moment. I feel like most of the week I've been doing neo-Nazi watch. Like we follow them on Monday. We followed it up, I think, on Wednesday and Thursday with some tidbits here and there. But we're going to round off what has been, it would seemingly be an eventful week for neo-Nazis in Australia. I don't know how you feel about that, whether we should be celebrating that or not, but we should be keeping across it because, whether you like it or not, these people are a section of the working class. And I think more importantly to that, because you can exclude these wankers if you really want to, but these wankers here in the black, that's right, the irony of them being in black as white supremacists, these guys are influential on the working class. And, if the story of Nazi Germany is anything to go by, they will co-opt working people, and pretty well-intentioned working people, you would think, if they had been socialists in the past, communists in the past, and they were co-opted into taking on national socialists. It's not a far cry for the working class to turn their acknowledgement of their class consciousness into something else. It can manifest itself in nationalism and, beyond that, white supremacy, etc., etc., etc. Isn't 5 by 5 a Buffy reference? Faith says it all the time. I thought it was actually from Aliens. I remember in Aliens, there's the person who's kind of dropping them off, and like they're in that kind of shaky helicopter ride or whatever that futuristic thing is. And she says 5 by 5 or something like that. I thought it was, but we'll get dilemmas to explain that one for us. So like I said, I feel like I've been doing fucking neo-Nazi watch, and I don't know if that's a service or not. It's Aliens. Yeah, okay. It is the pilot from Aliens. She has a very unique speaking style, I think, and it really cuts through. And then StarCraft used it. If you remember the pilot, I'm pretty sure the dropship pilot in StarCraft used that reference as well. All right. Like I said, I feel like I've been doing a neo-Nazi watch this whole week. I don't know if that's a public service or not. I'm yet to decide whether that's a good thing. I don't want to be absorbed by just chasing Nazis and seeing what they're up to. But as I said, I think it is important to be across how the working class are being influenced and how sections of them are even organizing. Whether you like it or not, the mainstream media are paying this attention. And so there'll be people at home watching this and be like, yeah, good on them, kind of thing. And so, they're spreading their message. And if organization is the key to any type of real political movement, whether you're integrated in the bourgeois system or not, these guys are organizing. So, they're definitely, they've definitely got one over what I'm trying to do at the moment. They're not just existing in a digital landscape somewhere. They're out in the real world doing real things. And so it is something to pay attention to, and be across, if nothing else. The siege tanks to win through attrition, then siege tanks to win through attrition, right? Got it. Yes. So you know the reference I'm talking about. All right. So I found it. I remember I was going on a bit of a searching exercise this week while we've been streaming to try and find when they rallied out the front of New South Wales Parliament, what they actually said. Here it is. This was what the rally was about, because we only got the little cuts of it from the media, from ABC, from Channel 10, I think we were watching. This is what they filmed and they have put out. So let's have a look at So, like, to start us off on the pipeline, let's look at real stuff that they're doing and they've filmed and they're putting out now into the digital realm for people to come across. Like, it'll just be a matter of time until you can find this stuff on TikTok. To be honest, I thought this would go up on TikTok faster. That's where I've found other controversial things before it gets taken down by like shadow accounts and stuff like that. But this one didn't go up there. I haven't seen it. So I'm in Rumble to try and find it, if you're wondering. And we are on Joel Davis's actual his actual like kind of account here, and so he's played it there. So let's have a listen, because again, this was a kind of a controversial event that happened this week, or like kind of last weekend, and like people were kind of unprepared. The police have copped a lot of flack for allowing this to happen. The state government's going to bring in more broad-reaching powers to kind of crack down on our ability, and I say our because it is our ability to assemble in public places now as a result of this. They say that it's to stop neo-Nazis from hanging out the front of Parliament. But, they're not just gonna, just because it starts like that, in 20 years, 30 years time, a law void of its original context can be used for other means of state repression. So don't celebrate that as a victory for freedom and democracy or something like that. Like, they'll, if they're really going to crack down on these guys, they could crack down on anyone. So let's have a look at what sparked the controversy, shall we?
We are here today because the Jewish lobby is destroying our nation. The Jewish lobby is one of the most powerful lobbies in Australia. They bribe our politicians. They coerce our politicians. They send them on all expenses paid trips to Israel to educate them, to indoctrinate.
So, like, he's actually right. We actually checked this week. We did an afters this week, and we looked at Australia's ties to Israel. And there's an Israeli lobby group in Australia, like it's comparable to AIPAC in the US. There's a massive and really important lobby group over there, which, surprisingly, as an Israel lobby group, it's actually a foreign lobby group and should be registered as such, but somehow gets beyond that. Anyway, we have AJAC, so that's our Australian, Israel, and Jewish lobby group, and they do heavily lobby the government, and they also, as he's saying, they also fund and sponsor politicians to take trips over to Israel and go on holidays and stuff like that, which is weird, because I thought, to be honest, that was a little bit of a stretch from a kind of corruption and probity background. Being someone who's worked in government, it's riddled with, you can't take gifts off anyone, you can't take, holidays especially, like that's pretty overt, but somehow this stuff does happen. So that's what they're picking up on here. And this is the NSN, if you're not across the context. The NSN is the National Socialist Network. And they seem to have divisions across the country. They primarily seem to be active in Melbourne, Sydney, and Adelaide at the moment. I'm not sure about Brisbane. So they seem to be all up and down the East Coast. But, they aren't doing themselves any service in the US either by buying up all the media organizations in the US. Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty crazy, isn't it? But yeah, so this is the NSN, if you're wondering that acronym I was using before.
Indoctrinate them so that they can come back and do their wishes. They own our politicians. The Jewish lobby in Australia is so powerful. They were able to pressure governments to enact hate speech legislation that destroys free speech in this country. And the pretext for these laws? Hoaxes, embellishments, exaggerations of anti-Semitic crimes that never occurred. Over the last year, over $130 million of the Australian taxpayers' money has been given to the Jewish community as a result of these lobby groups.
$130 million. Do you reckon that's legit? Shall we fact check? Jack Eltis. I used to call him Adam Eltis. I figured out his name is not Adam Eltis. But so Adam seems to be the head of the Sydney chapter of the NSN, or their official spokesperson, let's just say. And then yeah, Joel Davies. I don't know what I think he lives in Sydney now, but he seems to go around a little bit. But yeah, let's have a look. I am watching a video put out by some National Socialists in Sydney, Australia. And they believe that the National Jewish Lobby potentially AJAC, I think that's how you spell it. Has been awarded about $130 million through their actions and policy decisions made by government. Is there any way of verifying where they got this figure from? They use the words abolish the Jewish lobby, so they can't be arrested, as in it's not targeted person, but an organization. They can't be, yeah. Two homies showing up late. Yeah, did you see those guys run in from the side? Just like, oh, get in line. Oh, shit, we're late. Sorry, the trains weren't very good. Must have been the Jewish lobby. Pull it up, Jamie. He used to be Antifa? LOL? Who? Who pull it up? Who used to be Antifa? Which one? What is verifiable? Yeah, AJAC. Did I spell that right? Yeah, the Australian/Israel Jewish Affairs Council. All right, that's the one. The Australian government announced on 8th of December 2024 to grant AUD 32 million to the Executive Council of Australian Jewry to enhance security at Jewish community sites, including synagogues and schools. Damn, 32 million smackers for enhanced security. Okay, fair enough. Earlier in October 2023, the government announced AUD 25 million to the to ECAJ for community safety support, plus another 25 million to Muslim, Palestinian, and other communities. The Securing Faith-Based Places Grants Program was announced at AUD 40 million. It covers faith-based institutions, including Jewish ones. Okay. Why the claim of 130 million awarded seems very unlikely. Okay. Check the Australian Government Grants database. For example, I found one grant worth 63.25 million enhancing security for Jewish communities focusing on places of public worships. Okay, fair enough. Seems to be about security. That's like 60 grand in one pop, 30. I wonder where they get their facts from. Or if it's just absolute bold-faced, it's just lies. Joel Davies, he started out in Antifa. What? Are you sure? I was actually reading a biography of his. Someone's written one on Substack. And he actually started off libertarian, I thought, and dark enlightenment. He was a neo-reactionary, apparently. Joel Davies, that is. Davis, sorry, that is. Don't know if that's true or not. But he used to be Antifa. You have to fact check you on that one. Dilemmas. All right. I don't know where they get the 130 million from, but fair enough.
These laws should never have existed in the first place. They stifle freedom of speech and freedom of political communication in this country. These laws should be repealed immediately, and the Jewish lobbies who lobbied based on falsehoods and lies should be abolished. Blood and honour! Blood and honour!
At least I can understand it when he says that. He said blood and honor, right? When this guy did it, when we saw the clip, fuck, it was indecipherable.
We are here for one reason. One simple and fundamental reason, which is that the Australian people not the organized Jewish community, should determine what our laws are, what our freedoms are, what our rights are. The New South Wales government has passed laws restricting political speech and protest under the direction and the pressure of the Jewish lobby. The Jewish lobby concocted this pressure campaign with complicity from the Jewish-controlled media, which pushed this fake anti-Semitism crisis where there were a series of synagogue arson attacks around the country, including here in Sydney, that have all...
Yeah, Joel doesn't understand he's talking into a microphone, doesn't need to yell. Or if he is going to yell for emphasis, then hold it back a little bit. He's not a fucking gangster rapper. It's so funny. Yeah, it's like my monitor peaks so hard when Joel gets the microphone. It's one thing that Adam Eltis has got over Joel at the moment. So good.
All now been revealed to have been actions undertaken not by politically motivated anti-Semites, but by organized crime. Who paid them? Who paid these bikies to firebomb synagogues? I think there's one answer to this, because who benefited? The organized Jewish community, which as a result passed several laws restricting criticism of them, their power and their influence.
Look at this guy. This guy here. He's got the best look so far. Here's your ski glasses. No neck. It's Turtle Boy. We were looking at Turtle Boy the other day, I think. Now, this is interesting what he's suggesting here. He's suggesting that it is a setup, right? Because we've looked at some of the different stuff that's come out around fires or attacks on synagogues and stuff like that. And like Bibi has used it as a reason, Benjamin Netanyahu, I should say, has used it as a reason to kind of go after the Australian government, and like they've even used it as justification to sever our diplomatic ties with Iran, which is big stuff. And so what he's saying is the attacks on synagogues or places of public worship or Jewish community organizations or even schools, like this type of stuff has then brought in laws that specifically protect, I guess, Jewish people. And we've seen the legislation. It's very strange, I must admit. Someone used to spend a lot of time reading through legislation and interpreting it from a government perspective. Like, it's very strange that they single out a particular group and not just make it blanket place of public worship kind of protections. But he's suggesting that the government has put in these protections in response to violence against these Jewish institutions. And obviously the suggestion here is that the Jewish lobby or some type of group, like potentially even the state of Israel, right, from what we have seen, has actually done these things themselves or used organized crime to do those things to then get changes of legislation or policy decisions made in favor of protecting them and their interests. It's an interesting kind of conspiratorial line there, that it's just to, kind of attack their freedom of expression and their right to demonstrate. There's larger things at play, I would say. Like, we've seen some pretty crazy stuff that's been associated with Israel directly through Netanyahu and what he's capable of. So if it's just to target, the Sydney branch of the NSA, maybe not, but like, is there grander things going on there? We have looked at this stuff. So let's not take away, though, from his grandiose ambitions here, though, Joel Davies.
The Jews do not want to be criticized. They see themselves as beyond criticism, that they could exercise their power and influence without any restriction, without any opposition. And they do this under the perverse doctrine of multiculturalism. The Jews were a leading voice in the development of multiculturalism in this country. And people think that multiculturalism is simply the presence of foreigners in our country. That's not what it is. Multiculturalism is the institutionalization of ethnic lobbying within our political process. Multiculturalism is a big table, and every ethnic group gets a seat, except the white man who built this country, and the Jews sit at the head of that table. The Anzacs fought for a free and white Australia. They did not fight for a multicultural police state where our rights and freedoms are limited when they offend Jews and other minorities.
Now, this is a very kind of revisionist interpretation of history, I must say. Like, in the sense that to say that the Anzacs fought for white Australia is really not the way that I have heard. Now, I haven't obviously spoken to every single person that, fought in World War II or supported the war effort at home in Australia, but I've spoken to enough veterans to get a cross section, at least in Sydney, let's say, and I haven't heard any of them even come close. Like, they were scared of the Japanese coming and taking over the Pacific, and they really believed that it was going to be Australia v Japan, and England wasn't coming to get them. Sorry, it wasn't coming to protect them. And like their last hope, their last chance was the US. And if the US had stepped in and helped Australia out, they would fight off Japanese imperialism, which did actually get pretty far down through the Malayan Peninsula and into Southeast Asia. So I haven't really heard this take before, that all the people that went to war for Australia in World War II, the Anzac, let's say, or even, earlier that in World War One or something, I haven't heard really, like, even it is stated anywhere or referred to that they were fighting for white Australia. This is a very, like I said, it's revisionist stuff, or it's just the way that they interpret it to bring about their propaganda. Like the legend of the Anzac is thus that it wields great power, and so if you can co-opt the story, then you can wield the power that comes with the Anzac legend. I just, as trying to be kind of objective in understanding where their points of view come from, not justifying, but trying to understand where their points of view come from. That's a stretch for me. That's a real stretch for me, that all those people went to war not to save the country, kind of thing, from an imminent invasion potentially from Japanese forces, but it was to fight for the whites. The whites wanted an ethno state. I don't know about this one. Did the Anzacs state they fought for white Australia? No, and I've never heard that one come from actual veterans or people that had contributed to the war effort at home. Green people rule, Wolfgang Felix. I don't know the reference, but let me know. He's got a little speech about it, cites a few PM speeches that align with it. Okay. Like, I've heard political figures in Australia speaking about why we need an ethno state. No, not even an ethno state, why they need the white Australia policy, for example. And like, they believe that it's important to uphold that value. But like, I haven't heard people specifically say that they're fighting for white people to survive or something like that. I haven't heard that. So, if you do have something, then dilemmas, I would like to know. But from the veterans, like I've said, and people that are associated with the war effort on Australian soil, I have not heard them speak in that language before. Like, definitely about, like, it wasn't really even about Europe as much. I haven't even really heard them talk too much about the Nazis even. It was really about, like, oh my God, the Japanese are almost a stone's throw away now. And like, how are we going to protect the mainland from the Japanese? That seemed to be a big thing.
Nationalists need to take our country back. The Australian government should answer to one people and one people alone. The Australian people. It should have one loyalty. The Australian people. These ethnic lobbies, in particular the Jewish lobby, which has mounted such an attack on our fundamental rights, need to be abolished. And there is one group that is going to lead the charge, and that is us, the White Australia Party. So join us, and let's take Australia back. Blood and honour! Blood and honour! Blood and honour! Blood and honour!
Okay, the first one was okay. The first one was all right. I got it now. But that last one, blah, 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 that's why I couldn't understand it when we heard it on the news the other day. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. So crazy. So crazy. I can't listen to that without laughing. He doesn't do it justice. You're right. He screams too hard into the microphone on that one. Interesting. All right. Now, where we're going now is we're going to go across to somebody else who I guess is in the right-wing pipeline. It's hard to tell with this guy. He's a patriot, let's say, but he doesn't appear to be like a white nationalist or anything like that. This guy's name is Shallow Chow, I believe Shallow Chow. He seems to appear on a lot of other people's stuff. Like he appears on like radio programs and he appears on other people's podcasts and all that sort of stuff. He has his own channel and, he makes his own content, but it's like nothing extensive. But he seems to not like the NSN. So there's a bit of division going on at the moment. This is actually quite, I guess you would say, topical at the moment, because the NSN have been so active recently, at least on the southeast coast of Australia. And yeah, Shallow Chow is going to give us his kind of, I don't know, his 2 cents on the NSN situation and them doing this thing. So he has been a big proponent of March for Australia and all that type of stuff, getting out there, showing your Australian pride, investing in Australian businesses. I believe he is some type of business figure, like he's in business somehow, and so he reckons he represents Australian businesses, I believe. I first heard of him actually through you, Dilemmas. I believe when we were in the lead up to the March for Australia rally stuff, you had suggested that if we're going to look at people, we should, see what he has to say about the March for Australia. And so, yeah, this is him. And it does, like I said, there seems to be division. There seems to be, like, at the moment in the US, there's all these people, arguing the fact that the right is eating itself at the moment. There's all this division within the MAGA movement, like you have Tucker Carlson and Fuentes, and who else? Candace Owens, breaking away. And it's the America First kind of group within the American MAGA movement and the right, and they're pulling away from the Israel First group. So we've got here a separation now between people that want, Australia first, and they seem to be delineating themselves between Australia First, National Socialists, and Australia Firsts who are just patriotic Australians, I guess. So let's hear what Mr. Shallow Chow has to say here. And the piece is called NSN, so National Socialist Network Edgelords Converge on Parliament. So like it's not nice stuff that he's saying. He's basically calling them out for trying to push the boundaries for the sake of attention, I believe. So let's see what he has to say. This is a right-wing critique of the NSN's actions that we just viewed.
Display in Sydney yesterday. Australia's very own Nazis, the National Socialist Network, put on a display in Sydney yesterday. Let's check this out.
It's basically Australia was founded as a white British colony, etc., etc. Then because the Anzacs fought, they were fighting for the original idea of Australia, not what it became at the time. Okay, so like I thought he was suggesting that he's got a speech about it, and the speech is, the Australian political establishment that decided to go to war was like, we are fighting for white supremacy or white people to have a state of Australia kind of thing. As opposed to, it's just the idea of Australia was a white colony, so they fought for Australia, and by extension, then white people. Great, got it. Thanks.
Wash and wait till his billy boils. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me.
Good evening. Neo-Nazis have used state parliament as their stage today to launch a bitter attack on Jewish groups. The Premier and Police Commissioner blindsided by the protest. Video tonight being analysed to decide if hate speech laws have been broken.
Outside State Parliament, almost 70 neo-Nazis from the White Australia group.
Bloody order! Bloody order!
So good, man. I can't get over it. Like, you might have to clip him. Like, it sounds like some type of turkey thing. We talked about the other day. It's like the South Park joke when like the crowd has to go wild and they just say rabble, rabble, rabble. Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Armed with a banner that reads "Abolish the Jewish Lobby," and all of it approved by police.
The Jewish lobby is destroying our nation.
They claim the lobby is controlling the government and want hate speech laws abolished.
They bribe our politicians. They coerce our politicians.
It's obviously shameful that these people feel that they have the right to demonstrate in such a despicable, hateful way, spewing division.
Aliana on the new phone. How we going? Welcome. When I was a child, the neo-Nazis of Instagram indoctrinated me. When I became an adult, I was like, maybe we are the bad guys, LOL. Oh, wait, so you had a transition moment? Like, that's interesting. I think, I want to say Here to Wash a Trash Fire, who sometimes is in on the streams, has had a similar kind of experience as like going from like kind of in the right wing, I guess the depths of the right wing, across to, oh, maybe this isn't the stuff for me anymore. Bro, do it in AI, a turkey wearing pit vipers? Yes, that's fucking hilarious. Could you? That's the name of the Sunnies, Jag. They're called pit vipers. That's fucking hilarious. I might do that. Turkey wearing pit vipers. That's hilarious. Hilarious. All right, back to it.
And racism on the streets of Sydney.
The neo-Nazis applied to protest ahead of time, making clear their intention to rally against.
An anarchist? No way. I was asking the other day. I was like, I wonder if we have any anarchists in the stream. And we do. There we go. We were watching. Have you heard of Andrewism? Indoctrinathan put us on to Andrewism as a channel. And like this person spends a lot of time going through in, meticulous detail the anarchist theory. I wonder if you're across it.
Against the Jewish lobby, and they were given the green light by
Anarchitty
police
right here.
10 days ago. Only the Commissioner and the Premier had no idea.
I take it very personally. There was a communication.
Andrewism is a channel. Just like check it out. We were watching it in the afters a few days ago. We did a kind of a stream like towards like the last hour. I think of maybe Wednesday's stream. We were having a look at it. I don't know any anarchist theory yet. I know I hate the feds. Okay, yeah. Well, we'll do another anarchist kind of theory day. We'll speak about anarchist stuff. So keep your ear to the ground, so you don't miss out on the action on that one.
An error within the police force, for which I did not personally know that today's protest was taking place. Accordingly, I had not briefed the Minister of Police or government.
The group prides itself on exclusion. 3 months ago,
No worries. Yeah, look, I'll give you, I don't know if you're in or not, but here is the Discord invitation. I put up before we go live just so people are aware. So then you'll know what topics that we're covering. And here's Patreon. If you go over there and become a free member, then you'll actually, I give email notifications out like hours before stream starts. So at least you know what the topics are. So join one of those two or both. And so you don't miss any of the streams.
hijacking the March for
Place. Accordingly, I had not briefed the Minister of Police or government.
The group prides itself on exclusion. 3 months ago, hijacking the March for Australia at Belmore Park.
Yeah, we're racist. Yeah, we're racist. All the men in our organisation are proud to be racist.
Are you neo-Nazis?
Yes.
Police are reviewing today's footage to discern whether any hate speech crimes were committed. The Premier also pointing to new legislation.
Sounds like you went hard then. That's what you want. Okay. It'll do that to you.
To stop it happening again.
You don't want to give these piss ants more oxygen. And I know that holding this media conference does exactly that. But the truth of the matter is I've decided that if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
The old saying, may you live in interesting times, continues to be truer than ever. Who'd have thought Australian Nazis. Gosh, if you'd have asked me that 10 years ago, I would have said not a fucking chance. But here we are. Australia's very own version of the Nazis. The National Socialist Network. And you've probably heard that name floating around a bit over the last few months because gosh knows it's been getting some traction, especially with the March for Australia events happening in all these cities around Australia, of which I am fortunate enough to have been a part of. I'm definitely not a part of the NSN though. Why are we having an NSN problem? Why are the Nazis doing things like putting up a banner saying ban the Jewish lobby? It seems really strange to me. I don't have a problem with calling out foreign influence in Australia. It definitely should be called out. There is way too much foreign influence tapping into our well of prosperity here and sucking us dry. Australia is becoming a much more fractious and divided society because of that foreign influence. The problem that we've got here though with the NSN is that state governments, as you saw in that news story there, will use these events to push through more legislation to impede on our freedoms. So every time these guys do one of those events, we end up copping it in the neck with our civil liberties in Australia. And I have a significant problem with that. The NSN serve a purpose. They're not my monkeys, not my circus, but they definitely have a place in Australia because right now they're copping all the heat for being the extreme right-wing fringe instead of us that are right of centre being considered the right wing. But hey, let's face it, anyone who's in charge of this country right now thinks that anybody to the right of them is a fucking right-wing extremist. I think the Nazis are batshit crazy. I think the NSN completely overplay their hand every time, and I don't think they're actually helping.
My future goal for the next 2 years is to create counter funnels to neo-Nazi psychological operations in young men. Far out. That's a good goal. Good luck to you. Well, like I said, like join our Discord community and like have a look at some of the propaganda that people put in there. Might give you some inspiration for doing that. It's a good task. I've been networking with revolutionaries in my city who specialize in psychological operations to do so. There you go. Very interesting. Wow. Well, I'm very interested in that. So please, it'd be interesting to see what your tactics are and what your approach is. It'd be good to have a chat about that.
The situation here at all. I take on board that they are taking hits for the conservative movement in Australia, but they fucking hate the conservative movement. They hate anyone who is left of them.
Now, why are you constantly punching right? That's not what March for Australia is about, man. Also, NSN and NSN wannabes, white nationalists and nationalists, which you've previously mentioned, didn't hate us and isn't a reason to march. They march with us and covers a large portion of the... What's this about? This is Beck Freedom. So Beck Freedom, she organised March for Australia in Sydney. And she was filmed. And Dr. Nathan actually showed us something recently. Like she was filmed at the March for Australia, the original one in Sydney, and she was allowing the NSN to go to the front of the queue kind of thing. So they were able to set themselves up nicely at the centerpiece of all the speeches that happened for the first March for Australia rally. So I think she's calling him out for constantly punching, attacking right-wing groups when that rally was definitely infiltrated by the NSN the first time around. Not the second time around, but definitely the first time. Interesting. Can't believe I'm becoming some type of fucking expert on this type of stuff. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm fairly certain she sucked. I'm not going to read the rest of that. You did not get that through the censor. No, you didn't. No way you did. Very interesting.
But if you punch right, if you have a go at them, if I have a go at them, they will fucking pile on Absolutely fucking pile on. Out come the anonymous accounts. Fucking threat, violence, destroy your life. Fucking rabid dogs. Yes.
You are a pathetic cuck. You're only in this for business reasons. You're a scammer. That's why you've called yourself shallow. We've got jobs, dickhead. No one in the NSN would want to work for a race trader like you. NSN don't want to sit at your table, you knob jockey. Knob jockey's such a good word. NSN led the way in Sydney and Melbourne, so you're talking out your ass. NSN want a white Australia, you race trader, and we won't stop. Soft cocks in the right, like you are also the enemy. Damn. Yeah, it's funny, like we have this type of stuff. You see this type of stuff, like maybe less viciously than this, like, you know, on the left too. So like, you know, liberals, like leftists of the far left variety, I guess you would say, definitely think that liberals who also somehow appear on the left are traitors and akin to the enemy for supporting capitalists. Interesting.
Rabid dogs. You fucking know who you are, cunt. So I know you watch my shit. What I'm saying here is, I don't understand what you're trying to achieve. You want a white ethno-state. You want to make Australia more white than any other country around the world. You think that there's historical precedence for it. And I understand that you think the brown dudes stole all your opportunity. The brown dudes didn't steal your opportunity. The fucking government stole your opportunity. The blob stole your opportunity. And you go, oh, but that brown guy's got a fucking house and I don't have a house. Well, that's because the brown guy fucking was brought in here by the blob to take your fucking house. Anyway, it's fucking not rocket science. It's not the brown dude's fault. It's the government that let them in here and sold them the same fucking shitty dream that they told you when you were growing up that you'd have one day too. Look, your situation isn't going to improve by pulling shit like this. And why did you write ban Jewish lobbying? Like, you could have just written Israeli, because then it doesn't sound like you're a bunch of fucking bigots. When you're racist, not bigots. Well, maybe you are bigots too, I guess. Are you Nazis? Yes. And I mean, you admit that. You're happy to fucking admit that you are Nazis. What do I think you should do? Well, you don't really care what I think you should do. What am I doing up here in Queensland with the March, Australia Marches, our own organisation, which is completely fucking separate to you guys for a reason? Because you're fucking retarded. You're fucking retarded. Have a look.
Man, this is savage. Hey, he's really taking them all to task here. There's some real right-wing infighting going on here. But the more the left, but more so Labor people keep lumping us all together, it's just going to radicalize people who don't feel heard. Oh, like, he's pissed off about it, isn't he? Hey? And so, like, I don't know. I haven't followed any of the March for Australia stuff that has happened in Queensland, specifically in Brisbane, as he said, but he's disassociated from any type of, I guess, yeah, National Socialist stuff that potentially is going on in Queensland, and making sure that doesn't come into contact with his March for Australia movement.
Look at you like. I mean, you act like a bunch of fucking 12-year-olds. Are there any guys in that fucking group of 70 that were outside Parliament House in New South Wales yesterday that have done any military service? Are there any? Please, you know, a full 4 years at fucking least, not some fucking 3-week chalk. You know, the problem is I can't find a single military veteran in this country that agrees with what you guys are doing. When I think about the Australia First Patriots movement, I think about guys that have this country's fucking welfare at heart. And they don't want to cosplay fucking Nazi shit. And not only that, but all you fucking edgelords out there as well that think that, you know, flirting with these Nazis is cool and it makes you a fucking nationalist, you're a fucking retard too. You guys like to fucking hang on that edge and make yourselves feel intellectually fucking elite to everybody else by sprouting your fucking white Australia memes. You actually look like a bunch of fucking spastics to the rest of the country, and you will never have any place in the conversation about the direction of this joint, because no one's going to take you fucking seriously. You think you're going to charge your way through it. Just like before August 31 in Brisbane, when you fucking edgelord Nazis were sending us fucking messages in Brisbane telling us that you were going to take the stage and you were going to demand to speak. Well, what do we do with you then? What did we do with you then? Same thing we did with you afterwards. Called you a bunch of pussies and told you all to go fuck yourselves. And I stand by that. You can all go fuck yourselves. Queensland will never be a Nazi state. You can do everything you can to try and ruin it here, just like you're ruining New South Wales. And you can placate and be placated by the organisers in other states potentially, but we will never cop that shit here. Enjoy your fucking ASIO watch list. Enjoy it. Have fun. You can all hang out with Tom in jail.
Savage. Enjoy
Australia's
your
very own Nazi.
ASIO watch list. There you go. So we just got a real inside view just then over like what seems to be rather controversial stuff that's happening within the Australian right-wing scene at the moment. I would obviously, I don't know, maybe it's not obvious, but I would expect that there would be this type of reaction with, I guess you would say, mainstream right-wing culture, that they wouldn't want to be associated with neo-Nazis, like even if they have their own Nazi-esque tendencies or their own fascistic tendencies and race supremacy kind of tendencies, they would understand that there would be a level of kind of destruction that would come with associating with that or openly associating with that. So they have to denounce this stuff in order for them and their movements to gain any form of legitimacy outside of looking pretty mental, as he's described. So I guess I'm not surprised to see this type of reaction, but it is still interesting to see it. And he seemed pretty kind of emotive about the topic as well. Didn't drop the additional superlatives or the colourful language. And was definitely driving home that he thinks that they're all a waste of space, which is interesting. Especially, I guess, if they're detracting from his cause and his message and all that sort of stuff. So he seems to be patriotic in the sense that he's anti-government, it would seem here. This style of kind of right-wing sentiment in Australia, this Australia First sentiment. So there's another, COW is an Air Force, ADG. The soldiers that defend airfields. Okay, right. Yeah, there seems to be a differentiation going on here, a split between what is considered Australian First, which is like a MAGA style movement, I guess. Make Australia great for the first time. Sentiment, which is detached from, well, which likes to differentiate itself, at least, from fascist movements. And like quite strongly, it would seem, in order to get his message across, and in order to cleanse his movement from any infiltration. And it seems like he's definitely making it quite crystal clear there that he doesn't want to have anything to do with that type of stuff. But like, who knows? Maybe in private, he doesn't mind a little bit of what they're doing, but it's not good for him to be openly associated with them. What's he written here? They talk revolution online but can't start a conversation in real life. The NSN edgelords are out there posting memes at midnight, raging against modernity and quietly wishing someone would just hold their hand while they rant about globalism. This isn't Tinder for the terminally online. It's a look at the lonely heart of political extremism. Behind every fire emoji and Fed post is just another bloke who never got hugged enough. Savage stuff. There's a lot of this type of rhetoric that comes out as well from like all sides. Like when we were looking at that snarky Gherkin post and the White Rose Society, the people that follow neo-Nazis around and like document what they do to kind of dox them basically or have them identified. They were making the same kind of stuff that like behind all of this Nazi cosplaying is just another bloke who never got hugged enough. There seems to be a lot of talk about like mummy and daddy issues amongst these guys. It's very interesting. Han is back in the house. I can't start a conversation in real life because I would just get punched in the face. Yeah, that's pretty much you in a nutshell. I think there's a couple of people in the stream yesterday. Actually, maybe one person that you really fucking what's the word? Wound up yesterday, Han, and they would have probably punched you in the face if it was in real life. Let's be honest. That's hilarious. All right, let's see what if this guy's take is legitimate from a right-wing Australian perspective, or if he's copping heat in the comment section. The Jewish lobby groups, all 150 plus of them, like other ethnic lobby groups, should be shut down. 150 plus. Is that legit? How do they know? What about Muslim lobby groups? Yeah. They should say that then instead of singling out Jews. Try reading, not just reacting. All right. They are not Nazis, for fuck's sake. The only Nazis here are the ones who forcibly poisoned the country. Damn, savage. It's funny how countries like Japan, with little to no Jewish influence, have managed to keep a highly homogenous population. And why don't people call them fascist for wanting to keep it that way? Interesting. You know, it's not a bad point, though. Like, people, when they talk about the Axis, like in World War II and the Axis of evil and stuff, they're like, oh, you know, the fascists of Italy and Germany and stuff like that. But they never always fall short of calling out Japanese fascism. So, like, let's call Japanese fascism if you want. But I don't know if that actually goes to their argument there. We now have these bloody useless politicians criticizing these so-called neo-Nazis, yet they do not condemn the continual pro-Palestine marches. Very selective, gutless, useless people. Interesting. Yeah, see, this is what it's all about. Now, I have asked people about this. I even asked people, interviewed them, when I was at the second March for Australia. And I was like, look, are you sure that this isn't in response to Palestine marches? Because, yeah, after the Palestine march that went over the Sydney Harbour Bridge happened, which was kind of, I guess, globally talked about, people then started saying, well, why don't we march for Australia? And people were pretty upset about that. They were like, no, it's not about pro-Palestine marches. This is our own thing. It's not in response to that. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Whatever. Anyone with a brain can see Japan is a fascist country. It's literally owned by the largest corporations there. Yeah, fair enough. Government holds power without fault, and their voting system is fully rigged. Yeah, interesting. Just got in, but was Japanese imperialism really fascism, or was it feudalism? Oh, hot take. I don't know, man. Like, can't it be both? Can't it be fascism and feudalism? Like, two things can be true at once, if you know what I mean. What? Two things? No. Very dialectical. Never forget that the S, oh man, this is going to be good, in NSN stands for socialist. Our government and opposition are both left-leaning socialists. So good. That's why it's put in. That's why it's put it as a. That's why I put it as a question. Oh, it's a good one. It's a good question. The Jewish lobby is really saying that is a Jewish lobby is not hate speech. Fair enough. The government is using the Nazis for their own end. I think that's what he was talking about here at the start. He was really upset. He's just like, no, actually, he started off saying that because they exist, they cop the heat and take the fire, and then I'm allowed to, you know, organize for Australia First kind of stuff and do my thing without actually getting called a fascist. He's like, so if the NSN wasn't there, I'd be called a fascist. So I think he was thankful for the cover, actually. Australia has National Socialists too? Yes, apparently. Feudalism fits better. Like fascism just sounds like feudalism with extra steps. Interesting. I would argue there are differences. But like, let's not split hairs at the moment. Save it for another time. Simple enough. Follow the money. Tribalism, bought and paid for the same by the same philanthropists, charities, and fund babies. Division is best time profit for other people wealthy and property, like lawyers. I don't know if we can get any more value from these guys. Okay, so now let's go back. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit of time. I'm not going to sit through all of this. I can't do this to myself and I can't do this to you. But this is your man, okay, Joel. And he last night, he put out kind of a response to the Führer freed, but Zog doesn't want us to have a party. I don't know what Zog is. I'm assuming it's Zionist government, maybe. But Führer freed. Now, what he's talking about is Thomas Sewell. Was just he got out on bail. So if you weren't following, Thomas Sewell is, I don't know, the head of the NSA. I don't even understand how it works in Melbourne, it would seem. And so he was arrested after what happened, where he assaulted people at an Aboriginal encampment in Melbourne, in the city somewhere, I believe. And he's been under arrest, or he's been in a prison basically for like the last few months. And he got out on bail yesterday. We were watching him walk into the courtroom for his bail hearing, and he was trying to show signs for white Australia and stuff like that. And anyway, we weren't sure at the end of the stream yesterday whether he was going to get out on bail or not. He's gotten out on bail. So Joel's gotten up last night to do a quick stream, and we'll hear a little bit about what he has to say. I guess.
Welcome to the show. It is the
But like I can't spend long
November
on this.
2025, and we've had some great news today. I'm sure you would have seen it, but Thomas Sewell is out on bail. He's at home celebrating his freedom this evening with friends and family. And I think Blair's over there. That's why Blair's on the show this evening. We will do a show at some point soon with Tom, and we'll ask him all about jail and all the rest of it. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about it. But being that he's been in a concrete box for about 3 months, or 2.5 months, I think he needs to spend some time with his kids, with his fiance, with his friends. I wish I was there. Obviously, I don't live in Melbourne anymore. Otherwise, I'd probably be there and I wouldn't be streaming. But it seemed necessary to do the stream anyway because it has been such an eventful week. Obviously, we did that piece of activism that I just played on Saturday up here in Sydney, Saturday morning. And the fallout has been quite something. I don't think we've done a piece of activism too many times that has got that much fallout. It's one of therefore the biggest pieces of activism that we've done, definitely in Sydney.
It's interesting, isn't it? The use of the terminology. He's calling this activism. So he's an activist as opposed to a Nazi who's out there fighting for the revolution, or I don't know, trying to establish themselves as a political party. He's an activist at this point. Interesting.
Yeah, one of the biggest pieces of activism we've done in a long time. Obviously, we had a pretty big August. We had our national meet.
So the virtuous white supremacist has bastard children. Yes. Interesting, isn't it? Yes, he's with his fiancée and his kids. One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. Yeah, interesting. No, activist. One man's activist is another man's terrorist. A freedom fighter. He's not. That's the thing. He didn't say that. He could have said he's out there fighting for freedom or something, like fighting. But he's an activist. This is a form of freedom of expression. This is a political show. It's a demonstration. It's not warfare language, like, out there agitating for the revolution or something like that. It's very interesting.
It was quite something. Obviously, the rally that we did, or the march that we did through Melbourne with like 150 guys, that went pretty hard. Obviously, the March for Australia was something else entirely. But in terms of just like a kind of raw, like NSN demonstration, NSN street demo, I'm trying to think of the last time we did one that went that hard in terms of, I think other ones went harder maybe in terms of the context on the day. I remember when we did the fuck off with full rallies, particularly the second one. That got pretty spicy, like literally spicy. Got pepper sprayed in the face, but that was a very eventful day. And we've had some pretty confrontational moments over the years doing this on the streets. This wasn't very confrontational.
Do you reckon that's why he wears his Viper sunnies? Because he got pepper sprayed once. He's not gonna cop it straight in the eyes the next time.
But in terms of the reaction by the political establishment, by the media, it was quite something else, this one. So there's a lot to discuss. Obviously, really putting our organization on the map up here in Sydney. After our national meet in August, we did that 150-man march through the streets of Melbourne. And by the way, if you want to see some sick footage of that march, if you want to see the context surrounding it, if you haven't seen it already, go and watch the White Australia Rising documentary that came out just a couple weeks ago. You can find it here on Rumble on the White Oz Media Rumble page. Go and watch the documentary if you haven't seen it. Really well produced.
White Oz Media? Is that something that we actually have to add to the list now? Pip Vipers won't help you. You wear them to look cool. It's just aesthetic. White Oz Media on Rumble. I wonder if we're going to have a look at that for a Far Right Friday. Hey.
Well made by the boys.
By the
and
boys.
You can see about that. But yeah, after that, we declared Melbourne the Nazi capital of Australia, which it is, frankly. That's where our organization was founded, and we were primarily active. But we got a lot of members in Sydney. We have almost 100 members in our chapter in Sydney, including myself now that I've moved back. And, there's no reason why we can't be just...
You've got some too? Interesting. Check my swag. There is a saying in America, if you get 50 Nazis in the same room, 25 are feds and 24 are informants. Which one is this guy? That's pretty funny.
Much of a force in Sydney as we are in Melbourne. They're both equally important cities. The two major cities of this country, about like half the country lives in Sydney and Melbourne. So it's important that we don't just be a Melbourne thing, but that we're a national organization. And, thinking about doing this political party as well, looking at it, in theory, probably be easier to get our guys elected in New South Wales and in Victoria at the state level. And it's a place that we need to have just...
I wonder why that is. Anyone in the chat from New South Wales have any explanation as to why he thinks it'd actually be easier to get NSN members elected into Parliament in New South Wales than Victoria? I think that's something worth questioning there. Why do they think that the New South Wales system lends itself more to a Nazi inclusion in Parliament as opposed to the situation in Victoria? I wonder what's going on there.
As much of a presence in. So this was a way to announce the Sydney chapter with a bit of a bang. People knew that it existed, and we had a great day on the March for Australia up here in Sydney as well, and we've done things up here before, but I don't think anything. This has probably got more.
Well, like if you listen to, sorry, the question is, are these guys really Nazis, or are they just calling themselves Nazis? Well, that's what the last piece that we're looking at, Shallow Chow, was saying. Like, these guys are just cosplaying Nazis; they're not really Nazis. But like, what really is a Nazi anyway? Like, you asked yesterday, what is a communist? And like, if you ask 200 communists, they'll give you 200 different answers. Like, what really is a Nazi? Ask the Nazi, they'll give you an answer. So I think these guys definitely think they are. But like, are they hardcore Nazis? Like, that you find in the prison industrial complex in the US? Like, this guy's talking about probably one of the most hardcore things he's ever done is having pepper spray in the face. Has he gone into prison for, curb stomping someone? I don't know, man. Well, I know Nazis are socialists. I mean, it's in name. We already did that joke. You're a bit late. Somebody already did that joke in the comments. Okay? But it's in the name. They are socialists. So are they really socialists is your question. That's your real question, then. It's not if they're Nazis. Are they really socialists?
than everything else the Sydney chapter has done combined. So fantastic. And the political establishment fell for, and the media all fell for the trap again. People say I shouldn't explain what our strategy is. I shouldn't explain that we use the hysteria of the system against it in the form of jujitsu in order to promote ourselves and to affect meta-political and ultimately to establish ourselves as a force to affect actual political change. And they know that that's what we're doing. They are totally self-aware that they are facilitating it and even make comments to that extent, but they do it anyway. They can't help themselves.
He's right. They can't help themselves. And that's exactly what Minz was talking about. He's like, I don't want to breathe oxygen into these piss ants. I think he was the terminology he used. And he said, this is the strategy. Do stunts, get clicks. There it is. I reckon he gets off from being infamous. He just edge-lorded further and further. People call me a Nazi all the time. It hurts a bit. They are calling me a socialist, and I hate socialists. Fair enough. Well, hope your feelings are okay. Reckon they have little Boy Scout sashes and get new badge when they get pepper sprayed for the first time. Who the fuck knows? So, maybe he'll explain that. He is going through strategy at the moment. Maybe he'll explain that.
We know how to press their buttons. We know how to provoke them, and there's a lot to unpack, I think, in the reaction of the New South Wales government this week. What I would say is this before we get into that, and just joining us, welcome. You can go to the Notice and News page. There was like a version of Tom when he got out of court today, his interview, and it had this like communist bitch, yelling over it, and you couldn't hear it very well. A new version has now been uploaded that has it's been sound adjusted and has subtitles, and you can see that there. But yeah, basically, let's get into it. So, a lot has happened over the past few days. Where to begin? I think the first place to begin, I guess you could say, is the reaction by Christopher Minns, the Premier of New South Wales. I have seen things floating around online claiming that he is Jewish. I haven't seen the hard, concrete evidence, so I don't.
I think you
know
said
for
that
certain if that's
the other day. Dilemmas. Where did you get it from? Because it means a lot to him, apparently.
it's true or not. So research could be done to find that out. He doesn't look Jewish. He looks to me like an Anglo-Australian. But Chris Minns, he is. I really don't like him for the simple fact that he is a uniquely kind of well-presented and well-spoken leftist. He's kind of like a leftist that like appeals to people, I think, because he comes across like a normal guy. He doesn't come across like a gay nerd. He comes across like a sensible, intelligent, reasonable looking person. But then obviously his ideology is anything but that. He is a virulent supporter of the Jewish community and the Jewish lobby. And even though he's on the political left, has bent over backwards to do their bidding in recent years.
So what's the insinuation there, that the political left doesn't bend over backwards to do the work of the Jewish lobby? I don't know if I can watch all of him in one go. We might come back to him later. That's not as much as you need for now to get you over the line. At least he's explained what we've all speculated on for a while, which is this idea that these stunts are such things. They are stunts to get media attention, get people talking, get people across it, and maybe pull people into the movement, which is, it's interesting that they're voicing that opinion. Very interesting. All right, so we're going to move around a little bit. And this is actually, some of these people have come, we've gotten these suggestions through Discord, actually. So thank you for people that have put suggestions for the Right Wing Pipeline on Discord, because it's helped. So we're going to move around the circles at the moment. Internet rumors is where I got it interesting. I wonder if that's Joel poisoning the well. I heard a rumor. Yeah, I wonder where it comes from. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's have a look at this one. So like everyone, not everyone, but like a lot of people would be kind of across this guy. I've spent a lot of my life trying to avoid watching his content. So this is Avi Yemeni. I don't even know what he is. Like, is he really like a right wing? I don't know. Like, he's definitely conservative. He's definitely supports Israel. Like, he obviously wouldn't get along with the neo-Nazis. That's for sure. But like, you know, what is he really? Whose agenda is he serving? Does he do his own thing? You know, is he one of those people that gets $7,000 grants from the Israeli state to promote Israel? Because he definitely loves to promote Israel, and he's over there enough, like filming and stuff. I wonder if he is somehow a member of Israeli intelligence, or at least not a member, if he's somehow recruited by them or he's in their service somehow. But like, you know, he's another controversial, I guess you would say, right-wing figure. So his brand is called Rebel News, if you're not across him. And so, yeah, he's, you know, in political sense from an Australian perspective, like he's influential. He's got, you know, 900,000 subscribers. He gets decent views on his videos, all that sort of stuff. And he puts out relatively trashy content, like clickbaity stuff. So like this one is called Leftist Melts Down When I Ask One Simple Question. So like, let's see how, you know, someone like Avi, however you pronounce it, like, you know, cuts through and destroys the left kind of thing. Let's see how he does that. All right, let's have a look.
There's 53 Islamic states. There's 53 Islamic
You better
states.
stop saying that I hate Jews.
You hate
I
Jews.
think that you better stop saying that, because you know what? You're going to have a case against yourself.
Sue me. Last week you probably saw I went to cover a protest outside an Albert Park nursery, the one where the co-owner told a young Israeli woman who dared to apply to his loving business to get out of Melbourne because of her nationality. Now, as I arrived, I walked from my car and I was about to cross the road to speak to the local group gathering. I noticed...
If I had a dime for every leftist meltdown, I'd be a capitalist. Huh? Yeah, right. Okay. And they love... Ew, Avi, yeah, I know. Well, look, he is definitely part of the right-wing pipeline in Australia. You got to admit, like, you can slip on his content and fall down the right-wing pipeline easily from, like, if there's many different, you know, ways to slide into that, he's definitely one of them. He's been instrumental, I think, over the last, 5 to 10 years in this type of field of content creation. And they love saying leftist meltdown as well, right? And it's not even like the meltdowns that we would see objectively as leftist meltdowns. They go looking for them, and it's clickbait content. I know, it's unfortunate. Yeah.
a woman to the side yelling at me and taking photos. So, naturally, I stopped to speak to her, which only a small part of our exchange made it into the report. But I think you need to see the full unedited conversation because it shows exactly how deranged the so-called tolerant left have really
I love that
become.
One. The tolerant left. This is them, hey? So much for tolerance.
What's happening?
The Zionists themselves, they're here in my suburb, creating mischief.
Mischief?
Yeah.
What's the mischief created?
Oh, I'm not going to talk to you. You're a disgusting man. Sorry to say that to your face.
Because I'm a Zionist.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's about it.
What do you hate about Zionists?
No, I'm not going to talk to you. You're going to try to find some sort of evidence and, put it out there like this, What am I going to be on?
You're on everything. Did you hear about what the Garden of Eden did?
not all of it. Yeah, a bit of it.
Do you think it's horrible?
I don't know what they did exactly, so I can't comment.
They sent a text. Do you want me to read the text message?
No, I don't want to. Like Daniela Weiss, I will not look at your email, your evidence. You know, like Daniela Weiss. You know, she's probably one of your heroes.
Daniela Weiss is one of my heroes, you think?
Probably.
So what do you hate most about...
I'm quite open to this.
What do you hate most about Zionists?
What do you like about it?
The fact that Jews believe in their right to self-determination in their ancestral homeland.
Do you believe in Palestinians having that right?
Yeah, of course.
Do you really? Doesn't seem that way. You're always at the Palestinian marches creating havoc.
Am I?
Yeah, I think
When was
so.
the last Palestinian march I went to?
I don't know. I don't keep track of you, but I know that you do. You go there.
You seem to have a lot of hate for me, so I just want to understand
I don't like
what exactly.
you stand for.
So what is it that you don't like?
You seem to follow people around and try to get. You're with the Zionists. You know.
What's a Zionist?
You tell me what a Zionist is. You've just told me.
Yeah, I know. That was so funny. I'm not going to talk to you. And then she's like literally 20 seconds later, you know what? I'm quite open about this. Let's do this. Let's throw down. Me and you, bro. So like she takes him on. She's pretty fucking, aggressive though. Like she came over to him. Like a lot of people are like, no, stay away from me. And then they get baited in. No, she was on the move straight away.
Condemn me for being a Zionist. So what is it?
I don't like Zionism. It's an ideology I don't believe in. I think it's racist.
And what does it mean?
I'm not going to go into it because you'll find something and you'll twist my words and you'll find something to have a go at me about.
You seem to hate an ideology you don't know. It's very simple.
I do know.
So what is
I do know
it?
about it. I do know about it.
So what is it?
Well, it's you feel like the Jewish people, no matter where they were born, where they're from, whether they're Ashkenazi, whatever, they have a right to go there before Palestinians or anybody who was born in that area have a right to go back. Why don't they have a right to return? Why do?
So you've redefined it. You've just made up a definition. So let me ask you this: do you think Jews, put the Palestinians for aside a second, because I agree with you, they deserve also all the same rights.
Do you think they
Hold
deserve
on.
what Israel are doing to them?
No,
do you not see that that's making people angry?
I just want to ask you.
Do you not see that people in Australia are feeling really, really furious at what Israel are doing, and we don't see them as Jewish people as you like to. Everyone likes to say Jewish. It's not. It's Israeli.
Okay.
Regardless.
But your problem was Jews having the right of return.
No.
That's what you described.
My problem isn't with Jewish people. My problem is what they do.
Is the Jewish state
Israeli
allowed to?
people are doing what the Israeli people are doing to Palestinians.
Okay. So let me just ask you a simple question.
You should get over to your rally.
Do you
It's
believe
shaping
in?
up really well.
Do you believe in Israel's right to exist? A homeland for Jews, a one safe haven in the entire world. There's 53.
Just for Jews.
A Jewish safe land. It's not just for Jews, no.
For Jews.
20%, 25% are Arabs, so no.
Excuse me, but the government of Israel are trying to create.
Good for her making the distinction clear. Just for Jews. Is that what you mean? Like she knew what was going to happen the whole time. She's just like, I'm not going to give you a clip. And then she goes on to give him a 15-minute clip, basically. I wonder where the meltdown is. Because so far he's just trying to ask her questions. Let's see.
Greater Israel. And also, excuse me, and also the Arab population.
Do you believe there is a right for Jews to have their own
homeland?
homeland?
Don't do that to me. I will say what I want to say. Also,
you don't know what Zionism
we
is.
also know that the Arab people who live there are second-class citizens.
No, they're not. You're making that up.
And what about the apartheid? The apartheid in the West Bank, the whole occupation. What about all the checkpoints?
Can you stop jumping around? Just answer a simple question. Do Jews have a right to their own?
I'm actually rattled. I'm actually rattled to be looking you in the eye and to be surrounded by a bunch of, I guess, Zionists. I don't like Zionists. I think it's really rude. I think it's racist ideology.
So Jews having their own homeland, that's racist.
Sorry, can you just not
That's
talk
exactly
about
what
Jews?
Zionism is.
But hang on.
That's what Zionism
Why
is.
can't Palestinians have that homeland?
They can. I've already agreed. I've conceded that
No,
to you.
you haven't.
I did. I say right now to the camera, I think Palestinians should be allowed to have their own homeland. We got that out of the way.
Where do you want it to be?
Now,
where do you want that homeland to be?
There's shared space there. That's fine.
Where?
They had a beautiful piece of land called Gaza before they turned it into a terror tunnel.
Live in their little concentration camp that's
Do you
been
know how
under siege,
small Israel is?
That's been under siege since 2006 or whatever it was.
In theory.
And also,
in theory.
No, not in theory.
In theory, do you think Jews deserve a homeland in their ancestral?
They cannot use their own waters.
Yes, they can.
They cannot.
You're just making that up.
I'm not making that up. How about the flotillas? Why does Israel think They have the right to go and stop the flotilla.
Where do you want?
She should have started with him being a former IDF soldier, asked him about his actions against Palestinians. He was. So he obviously has Israeli citizenship then. Because like I went to school with Israelis and they all were basically, planning their service. Because at some point, I think must be when they turn 18, I guess, unless the laws have changed or the rules have changed. They were basically deciding whether or not they actually wanted to go and serve in the IDF or not, because then that's how they keep their Israeli citizenship. And like if they don't serve, I guess they're not allowed to hang on to it. I guess that's how it works. So like yeah, a few of them were planning what they were going to do for the next couple of years after leaving school, go and serve for Israel. Yeah, he was mandatory service. Yeah, so it's that. Yeah, interesting. Wow. Crazy. It's crazy, man.
I want the Jews to go.
Oh, they can stay there if they're going to be peaceful. They can just stay there.
They can stay there under the Islamic rule?
No, I suppose if it's a democracy, everybody gets to vote. Everybody gets to vote.
How's that shaped up in the rest of the Middle East?
I'm not talking about the Middle East. I'm talking about one area.
Can you show me one place in the Middle East where minorities...
What you call Israel. What you call Israel.
What's it called?
Well, it's...
So it's guaranteed citizenship. Would you like to know more? So this shit's stirring from the safety of not a occupied territory. If he loves it so much, why not live there? It's interesting, actually. Yeah, that's like the usual rhetoric as well, right? From, if you love it so much, go back, like kind of thing. Yeah, why'd you go live there? It's interesting. Flipping the script.
Palestine.
When was it called Palestine? When was it called Palestine in
have
history?
you looked at Jacaranda World Atlas before 1948?
You mean the Mandate of Palestine?
That's the one.
Which was
Yoo-hoo, come.
the Mandate of Palestine, named by the British Mandate.
You're not getting great stuff from me. Why don't you go and talk to your Zionist mates over there? I mean, seriously.
Why don't you just admit you hate Jews? You don't think Jews should have a safe space in the world?
Excuse me, I have Jewish friends, so that's the most ridiculous thing for you to say. I've never, ever, ever even been against Israel until I've seen what's been happening in the last 2 years. So can you stop saying that? You're really pathetic. This whole, you hate Jews. I mean, seriously, you're pathetic. Are you from the left? Are you from the left? What does that mean?
I'm just asking, do you identify as somebody from the left?
I identify as a person who looks at truth and votes accordingly.
So if you have a black friend, you can't be a racist?
No, not at all. You can be a racist.
But you just said you have a Jewish friend, so you're not a racist.
Oh, there you go, yeah. Another one. Oh, there are many of you. I texted my friends and said there are 9 of them, but now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 of them.
Do you support the owner there, the co-owner, in discriminating against an Israeli?
I support him. I don't know what she had said to him.
She didn't say anything. She applied for a job.
I don't know what she said to him to make him say what he said.
So you're defending him without him even defending himself. They've come out and apologised. But he didn't apologise. The company's apologised. So you're defending his actions by giving him a defence that he didn't even put forward. You're blaming the Jew, automatically blaming the Jew. You're automatically blaming the Jew.
No, not the Jew.
She's a Jew.
Not the Jew. She's an Israeli.
So she can be discriminated against.
Well, it depends on what she'd said to him, and I'm just.
She applied for a job.
Well, we don't know what she said to him, so I think that
she applied for a job.
He delivered me my olive tree, something that the Israelis don't respect. Olive trees. They burned down all the olive trees in the West Bank. He delivered me my olive tree. I'm a.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. One of the scales is this resolute over the rights of the Australian traditional owners. Such a hypocrite. They don't even teach the religion, really. The religion is the Europeans tried to wipe them out, and they will try it again. Grand David, that is an excellent point. Well done. Yeah, interesting.
Local. He delivered me my olive tree. He has a respect for trees and people. So I think.
Listen, you hate Jews. He hates Jews. I can see you guys bonding.
I beg your pardon.
You hate Jews.
I beg your pardon.
You, Miss Darling, hate Jews. You think Israel, you think the one Jewish state doesn't deserve the right to exist. That's all Zionism is. The right to exist. One Jewish state. There's 53 Islamic states.
You better stop saying that I hate Jews.
You hate Jews.
I think that you better stop saying that because you know what? You're going to have a case against yourself.
Sue me.
Well,
Sue
you know
me.
what? I'm not going to be like, I've seen on the Australian Jewish Association's Instagram page, they're already putting up a defamation.
Oh, sorry. On the scales, is he this resolute over the rights of the Australian traditional owners? Hey, such a hypocrite. Yeah. Well, hey, whose rights does he respect? Depends on the context, right? I don't know, like, for someone who's just, like, randomly approached someone who is potentially, arguably anyway, a professional who does this sort of stuff for a living, like, she's holding her own pretty well. Like, most people fold pretty quick, and they're like, 2-3 questions in, they don't have a response. So, God, his voice is like nails on a chalkboard.
Case. I mean, that's what.
You just threatened to sue me. You can't even stand here in front of me and tell me what it is about the idea of Jews having one little tiny state in Israel, in their ancestral homeland. That's your big problem.
Why can't the Palestinians live there in
They
peace?
can.
No, they can't.
They can. 20% of Israel lives in peace. 20 to 25%.
What about the Nakba? The 19. I mean, sorry, but the people.
Do you know where my family comes from?
No idea, and I don't even care.
I know you don't, because I'm Jewish. That's the
So
point.
what?
You don't care
So
about
what?
Jews.
That's
The only
ridiculous.
time you care about
That's the
Jews is
most
when you can blame them.
that's the
You're
most
an
ridiculous-
anti-Semite.
Oh my goodness.
How do you
yes,
sleep
I
at
love-
night?
Oh my God, I'm actually really proud that you are calling me an anti-Semite.
You got Jewish friends. You couldn't be.
Oh my God. Oh my. Well, you know what? I've lost some Israeli friends over this. I've lost them.
Wow, I'm surprised that Israelis don't want to be your friend
Do you know why?
when you don't think
Do you
it's
know
their
why?
right to exist.
You know why? And you won't even put this wherever it's
This is
going.
live right now.
You won't even put it on.
It's
But he
live.
Came to my home.
You say it.
He
You
came
you,
to my home.
You
and do you know what he
criticize
said?
everything I do,
you
but
know
it's
what he
literally
said?
live.
Do you
Say
know what
sorry.
he
Say
said?
sorry.
Do you know what he said?
What did he say?
He said,
Your Israeli
it's
friend.
not as my Israeli ex-friend. It's not as though if you drop a nuke over Gaza, we're going to lose the next brain cancer cure. So, I mean, that's a disgusting statement. I'm sorry, but it's
I'm
really...
sure there are. You know what? I agree with you. There are some, surprise, surprise, Israelis and even Jews that say disgusting things that should be condemned. But do they have the right to exist? You say not.
I didn't
He
say
says
that.
not.
Excuse me.
You defend this guy because
right there.
you defended him
Stop
before
right
he
there.
even.
I did
I'm
not say
yes,
they
you did.
do. I
yes,
did not say
so
they
then
have
you're
a
a
right.
Zionist.
I did
Do
not
they have a
say-
right to exist?
Zionism doesn't.
Does Israel have a right to exist?
Israel itself, no, it doesn't. Palestinians have a right to live in that land.
So you say they don't have a right to exist?
Amongst the people who live there. Whoever lives there has a right to try to live together. So
He's run out of arguments now. Well, like, he's just pressing her. She didn't threaten to sue him. Oh my God. He's a twisty. He is. Plus the fact that he's like he's with 3 6'2" Maori bodyguards, so people can't punch him in the mouth like he deserves. Yeah, interesting.
I'm sorry.
So they don't have a right to
I think
exist.
it's also not right for people who come from Europe to go and take a Palestinian's home. I mean, it's disgusting.
From Europe. You know, most of Israel is not from Europe. That's just a conspiracy Jew haters like you like to peddle.
I'm a Jew hater, am I?
You are.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that because I know that you'll clip that little bit, won't you?
It's literally
You get
live.
that-
You keep
get
saying
that.
that.
Little bit.
It's live.
And where's it going?
Live everywhere. So
Everywhere.
So
Everywhere.
let me just help you.
Everywhere.
Ashkenazi Jews are a minority in Israel. You either don't know that or you're a compulsive Jew-hating liar that peddles that lie.
Well, you know what? Do they have to be a majority? The minority seems to be working really well, looking for the greater Israel. I mean, I'm sorry, but we've got
Another conspiracy, the greater Israel.
Oh, is that a conspiracy? I mean,
100%.
Netanyahu stands up at the United
What
Nations.
is Greater Israel? What is Greater Israel?
With his map.
You know so much about it. What's Greater Israel?
I do. You're absolutely
What is
right.
it?
I do know.
What's
Look it
Greater
up.
Israel?
Look it up.
I know what it is. What is
Okay,
it?
what is it?
Where does it come from?
What is it?
No, I know you don't. I know you don't know.
Do you think so?
100% because you could
Do
say
you,
it right
do you
now.
know, I may not know everything.
You know nothing.
I know
All
nothing.
you know
Do you-
is the
do you just wanna
anti-Semitic
do
talking points.
Do you think that
You're a
embarrassing
Jew
me?
hater.
Do you think, there you go. That you,
The tolerant left. This is the face of the tolerant left.
Hello, yep, that's what I am.
She has a Jewish friend, so
There
she's
you
just
go,
like
there you go.
just like they used to say that if you have a
You
black
don't
friend,
believe-
that's not
you
your
don't
defense.
believe- You don't believe in freedom fighters. Here we go. There's another one for you. There's one. Do you like that one?
Hamas freedom fighters.
In my eyes, I think that I'm not sure, but if somebody came to my home, killed my son, killed my daughter, killed my kids, killed my father.
No one did that, but okay.
Killed my, no, they didn't.
Is rape resistance? Is rape resistance?
Well, you tell me, because it's happening rife in the Israeli jails.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I beg your pardon?
No, it
I
isn't.
beg your pardon?
No.
Well, see, you know instantly that he is bad faith from that response. Like, he has said that, like, he's insinuating that, like, Hamas will use kind of rape as part of their terror, but like the Israelis, the IDF, have been using the exact same thing. What do people call it in the stream? I think people call it the IOF. The Israeli offensive forces use the exact same tactics, and he's just like, brother, don't. It's interesting. I wonder why he's just, it's just bad faith, I guess. See, that's the problem. Like, this is the 4IS kind of strategy to delineate whether a debate is worth, its salt. It's just like, can you figure out whether someone is arguing in good faith or not? Like, people slip up every now and again. They say things that they probably shouldn't have because of the heat of the moment. But, like, he's not arguing in good faith at all. Like, he was trying to catch her out before. Like, that's different. But, like, now he's just like, no, they never did that. That's definitely not happening. That's never happened. Never will an IDF person do that.
It's happening rife in the Israeli jails.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I beg your pardon?
No, it isn't.
I beg your pardon?
No,
it
isn't.
We've all seen the footage.
Another conspiracy. So, is what they did on October 7th, is that justified?
Oh my God, I'm being asked this I can't believe I'm being asked this.
Why can't you believe?
Because it's all you guys do.
Because
do you condemn Hamas?
Do you condemn
Hamas?
Do you condemn
Hamas?
Would you live under Hamas?
Do you condemn Hamas?
By the way, since the ceasefire, Hamas has.
Excuse me, it's not a ceasefire. Israel decide when to attack, then they decide to say.
Do you have a problem with Hamas publicly executing Gazans since the ceasefire?
Was that Hamas, or was that the jihadists that the Israeli government is sponsoring?
All right. Thank you very much.
She's had a fucking response. Actually, at the end of this, she's actually killing him now. She's responded to him. He doesn't like that. That's interesting.
It's funny, isn't it?
So let's just sum it all up, because we're here now at the Garden of Eden, where the co-owner here sent a text message to someone who applied for a job because they're Israeli.
They're sniping little kids
not.
in the head. They are
So she went and made a defense for this guy.
41 children in the West Bank have been killed just in 2025. So don't you make me sick.
You don't care about the Gazas. What about the Gazas Hamas is killing right now? You don't care. You don't care. The only thing you hate is the Jews, but you don't want to admit it. All you say is
Am I wasting your time?
You are. So let's sum it up.
My time.
Well, you can leave.
You're wasting. Well, I could leave.
No one's stopping you.
Why are you so full of hate? Like, why is it Jews you hate?
I'll tell you why I'm full of hate. I really hate seeing the Israelis kill people. I hate it.
So you don't mind? You don't mind when Hamas does?
I hate.
You don't mind that Hamas actually put on a GoPro?
At least 680,000 Gazans
How many?
killed.
How many?
At least 680,000. If not directly, indirectly.
687,000. This vile leftist liar, Jew hater, makes up every talking point. Even
she's actually really good. She's slamming him. Why did he upload this? What an idiot. She is good. Like, I thought it was really esoteric, the information that we found on, like, the actual death toll as a result of what's happened since October 7th. I thought it was really esoteric because I haven't heard anyone speak about the fact that it is potentially 10 times the amount of people the official media reports count on. And, like, she knows her shit. Yeah. This is not helping. His cause, anyway. He's using talking points from a discredited New York Times article about babies in ovens, yet discredited a verified article about Palestinian prisoners being gang raped to death in jails. Yeah, what the hell? I beg your pardon. I love it, yeah. It's not a ceasefire. It's a reload. Savage, bro. Can I start using that line? I was so hopeful that there would be a ceasefire, but it's just not it. He said it's himself. It's live. Yeah, but then he's taken the time to clip this section and been like, "See, I found one. I found one who doesn't know what they're talking about." Big Reddit energy here. Me, I did, and I got howled down. Man, crazy.
Even exaggerates Hamas's numbers. Hamas's number are about 60,000.
Why don't you
She
show
says
the number of people you've got in your little rally over there?
687,000. We're going over there.
Show the number of people right
I
now.
love how you defended the guy. You gave the guy a defense. The owner of this thing that sent that text message, you gave him a
don't know what
defense.
she said.
He
I don't know
did.
what she said
You're
to you.
giving him a defense. He didn't even put forth. That's how much you hate Jews. You're willing to
That's
defend
disgusting.
anti-Semites.
You hate Arabs.
No, I love Arabs. My kids are Arabs.
There
Sorry,
you go,
sweetheart.
there you go.
I don't have a black friend. I have Arab kids.
And that makes you not racist, just like it makes me not
No,
racist. So
yeah,
I
less
hate
than
my
you. You
Jewish
said you had one Israeli friend and then you dumped him
No,
when
I
he said he
didn't.
doesn't want to die. God bless you.
Well, he just ran away from her at the end there. Like, he's interesting, this type of character, because, like, you know, what does he go? What's really beneficial from clipping a piece of content like that? His ego is telling him that he won that. Well, you know, he wouldn't have run away. That was a bit interesting. That was rather strange, actually. I really, who had the meltdown there? Who had the meltdown? Looked like he had the meltdown there. What do his supporters say on this one? She's hateful and delusional. I'm guessing she's a retired teacher. I don't want to talk to you. Proceeds to talk nonstop. Might as well be interviewing a doorknob. Last time Palestinians voted, they voted in Hamas. She'll go home and turn on the ABC. I don't know. You wouldn't get that story from the ABC, I must admit. Even the dog doesn't want to be around her. I'm embarrassed for her stupidity. Who let grandma off the meds? This lady, why can't the Palestinians live in peace? You answered your own question, lady. They don't want peace. Imagine being her age and that angry. Her poor grandkids. No cure for stupid. I have Jewish friends. Not after this interview, you don't. Damn. Is Avi the leftist? yeah, he's the one who had the meltdown. Oh, the desecrated age-old cemeteries where they blended living and recently and long dead. Oh, wow. What a nutbag. What a spectacular racist. Interesting. The delusion is terrifying. I don't know how I feel about this one. That was a strange experience just then. I really thought he was going to put, I don't know, something over her. But, like, I don't know what was going on. 60,000 boots through doors, not counting under rubble, or crushed and mixed into long dead under heavy machinery while building the road to Gaza. Then, what was that? Israel has dropped more ordnance on Gaza in just a few years than America dropped on Vietnam the entire war. Is that true? Because they dropped a lot on Vietnam and prior to Vietnam, like on Indochina. You'd think a soldier would know the damage that equals. Yeah, but that's why he's not good faith at all, is he? Social media is going to destroy the West. Fuck. Man. That was not what I expected. So what did you put in before? I think you put in a link to something. Indoctrinator. Oh, this is Avi. Something happening to Avi, is it? Avi. Let's check it out. Neo-Nazi thugs attack Jewish journalist live on TV. I don't know if I can watch this whole thing. Self-righteous. Let's see. Let's get a clip of it.
IDF that are taking selfies while they're blowing up the buildings. What do you think of that? It's all over the news. You can't deny it.
You know what? I think when you have a citizen army, people do stupid things in combat. I don't think it's a good idea to post yourself in combat. But does Israel have the right to defend itself? If what happened on October 7 happens here, I 100% encourage the ADF to fight.
We're having a conversation about.
Yeah, go on.
Politics.
I'm 16, I don't know what the fuck you're talking
So,
about.
yes, having phones is a security risk in the IDF, right? Soldiers?
Maybe.
Don't you think it's a security risk?
Sure. What do you just make the point?
I made my point. What do you think?
Stress how phenomenal and professional my security team were on Sunday. Please, if you can, throw in what you can at protectrv.com so I can keep them by my side whenever I need.
Protectrv.com.
Well, thank you to the veterans that stood there as well to back them up. And from here, we kept covering the march until the end of the day, pretty much without incident, until I started interviewing people leaving.
You're a brown, ugly. I know. I'm an Australian. What are you going to do? You know, you look. Hey, Roxanne, you look fucking lovely, mate. I'm Australian. I'm here for good. You're Sri Lankan. I'm here forever. Generations of my family will be Australian. What are you going to do? Generations of my family will be Australian. Show us who you are. Show us who you are. Yeah.
They have the same chant as the left. They say that's literally a leftist chant, just slightly changed. They go on about Palestine, and no one here likes them. Nobody here is with them. You should just join Antifa already. Join Antifa.
We don't care about your desert.
Join to Antifa.
We don't care about
They're exactly the same.
If you don't like the
Talk about a traitor. You literally are a Nazi. And just like the left, they make.
Does he sell Avi supplements and prepper packs? Probably. You just know Avi planned to get them to kick off. Yeah, 100%. I was glued to live feeds, having to move buildings because of bombings. I cheered for Steve the rooster who could crow. Symbols of hope from the chat until the day he didn't. So, snap.
Their entire protest about me. They're like the left. They're on the wrong side. They should be joining Antifa. They hate Australia. Australia, our diggers fought, bled and died to beat that ideology. They're wrapping their same hateful ideology in our flag so that no one realizes. But this crowd is smarter than that. Most of the crowd here stands for Australia. And don't let the media gaslight you tonight and say that these guys are the whole protest. They're not. They're a tiny, violent minority.
Get away from these guys. Get away from them.
By this point, the Nazis realised two things. We weren't going anywhere just because they demanded it, and any more violence wasn't really going to end well for them. Not with so many proud Aussies, including veterans, backing up our security.
Yeah, good on you. I'm here serving. Yeah, you fuckers. You know what? I'll tell you what. When the first round came down range, he'd probably run home to mummy. There you go. Believe that.
How much you paid him?
Hey?
How much you paid him?
I don't pay nothing, mate. Nothing. Zero. Child killer. Me? Child killer.
You literally support Hitler. You support Hitler. Talking about child killers.
You stink. Go home. Have a shower.
I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. I'm with my people here. I'm with my Australians. What do you want to do, man? I'm home. I'm with you. I'm home. I'm Australian. I'm home.
My God. I'm not sure why I should care about Israel or the threat of Iran. Iran chants death to America and death to Israel. Not death to Australia kind of tells you it's not our problem. Avi fought and made others bleed and die to steal what it's not his to take. And if it is, then, like I said, FNP sovereignty should be his main cause. Yeah. Well. I don't think he cares too much about First Nations people. Doesn't suit, as long as it doesn't suit the conversation. I don't think he cares too much at all. All right, I'm not doing Avi anymore. I do apologize if people are enjoying the Avi style of content. But like, I just wanted to do it as a slippery slope into the right wing pipeline. And he's definitely got that sort of stuff down pat. I wonder what his comments say. I think Victoria Police have some explaining to do. God bless everyone in Australia. Hold the line, love. Support from England. Vic Police failing everybody's tests. Funny thing is, when Avi comes to England, the Brits call him a racist and a Nazi. We live in a confused world right now. Australians should vote out that criminal government. I think they're not really talking about anything else. Interesting. All right, so let us go. Now, this is very different, okay, in terms of a gear change here. But we're going to go to CPAC now, because I think it might be interesting enough to be across. Makes me grumpy and agitated because fucking confident lie with social media. Yeah, I know. He does it with such kind of... It's pretty gross, isn't it, how he does things. Now, we're going to, go completely different gears here. But this is CPAC Australia. So this recently went down, CPAC. So the... What is it? The Conservative Conference? I don't even know how to pronounce it properly, what the acronym stands for exactly. But yeah, it was held recently, and Jacinta Nampijinpa Price was one of the main speakers, or like it's not a keynote, but she was an important speaker at the event. And she seems to have spoken for quite a while, so I don't know if we're gonna get through all 28 minutes. But like, this is another part of kind of the pipeline. This is for people that I guess are a little bit more open than the NSN in terms of multiculturalism and all that sort of stuff. But it's still a kind of a way of entering into this space, and this conservative kind of conference does seem to act as a vehicle for this stuff. Conservative Political Action Conference. Thank you very much. So this is an interesting speaker, Price, because like, obviously she can be posted very well and positioned very well as if she's a conservative kind of thing, then like it fully justifies everything they're doing, because she's obviously a symbol of Indigenous Australia, and then so if she has a conservative bent and right-wing bent, that justifies all of the stuff that they're doing, and is used as a vehicle in that sense. So let's have a look at how she presents to this conference, and like kind of what she talks about. Like I said, I can't do the whole 28 minutes. I don't think that's a great idea, but like, I would like to see how she presents to a conservative audience, what she has to say. And I'm going to skip past some of the introductions and stuff.
Thing to be bruised in the battle of ideas and politics. And it's another thing, of course, altogether, to be held against your will by terrorists or to lose your life entirely. So to the hostages still being held in Gaza, you have our support and our prayers. And we do hope that you will be reunited with your family soon. To the family of Charlie Kirk, you have my respect, and I'm sure the respect of the audience today. Our prayers and condolences for his family. Around the world, there have been many moments of silence for Charlie Kirk, and rightly so. But I want something different today. Friends, please be upstanding. Let me hear you clap, let me hear you cheer, and let me hear you roar for Charlie and for freedom of speech. always be true. We will always speak the truth, no matter what. There are a great many things that we share with Charlie Kirk. We believe in a way of life worth protecting. We believe in values worth standing for, and we believe in a future worth building. But to succeed...
So Pricey is feminist / Aboriginal lobby insurance. Are you kidding me? What are you talking in relation to something that she said? Seeing the Aboriginals claiming the Melbourne land title. They have blue eyes, blue bloody eyes.
Our movement must be smarter, it must be sharper, and it must be true. We must be smarter because the challenges we face are, of course, real. Rising costs, struggling families, communities under pressure, and a weaker nation. We cannot afford lazy thinking or second-hand solutions. We instead need bold...
If you have got blue eyes, at that point you're just as white as me. Yeah. So, like, I don't know if it really boils down to that, though. It's supposed to be about association, I believe. Not an expert, but it's supposed to be about your affiliation and who you've grown up with. Like, not everyone looks the same in the same family. I come from a mixed family, and I don't look like a lot of my relatives. On both sides, actually. CPAC, USA, Kirk equals USA. USA is a freaking nightmare, yet Murdoch's utopia. Everything he wanted to do to Australia, but couldn't. Yeah. Is manifest in the US right now, and Jacinda wants to bring all of that here. That's what I was wondering, if that's what this CPAC thing is about. This is basically like the Republican National Convention, but Australian style, it looks like. She's second class under Trump's system. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Bold, practical, and imaginative answers. We must be sharper because politics is crowded with noise, slogans, spin, and distractions. Our job is to cut through it with clarity, conviction, and courage. We must also be true because, above all, we must remain true to our values, to family, to responsibility, to freedom, community, and nation, which are the heart of who we are. Today, I want to touch on a few policy areas where we must be smarter, where we must be sharper, and we must be true. Energy is the economy. Under Labor, electricity is up 39% and gas is up 39%.
I was wondering where we were going with this. So we're moving into energy debates. Eh? Move over Green New Deal and all of that woke rubbish. It'll be interesting to see what the point. It's funny how like these are big, really big issues for the right wing or conservative movements. Is like this idea that we need to, I don't know, get rid of any of this nonsense surrounding sustainable technologies. It's very, very interesting. Like, I understand from kind of a material standpoint where people are upset with the cost of energy and wanting to reduce the cost of energy, but caring where that energy comes from, it seems like a who cares kind of issue. Like, unless you're an engineer or something like that, like, who do you really care where your power comes from? As long as one, it's affordable, and two, it works, like it's reliable. And that's why, like, I think this issue itself is just a massive culture war issue. Like, materially, do you have energy? And like, is it accessible to all people? Like, that's pretty much it. That's all you have to worry about. But like, what type of energy it is, like, who cares? Like, you know, why do people really worry if it's coming from a sustainable source as opposed to it being from fossil fuels or something like that? Why is that so much of a concern? Like, do you really Do people really have such an association with fossil fuels that they are ideologically opposed to green technologies because they just love fossil fuels so much? It seems rather strange. Dropping net zero is the first step, and they have to drop Lay. Yeah, she is unelectable like Dutton was. That's interesting. Well, they have dropped. Apparently, the Liberal Party has now dropped net zero. What type of nuclear power do they want to use? The one with the handy byproducts that can be made into weapons? Why do they deny the ongoing issue of disposal of waste and water? She sells lies. Yeah, see, look, unless you're an engineer, like, you know, these questions really are beyond most people, I would say. As long as you have access to it. So accessibility is an issue, and that includes affordability. And reliance, like reliability. It keeps them arguing, and then we keep using fossil for longer. It's all ideology, but the people in the middle just want cheaper power, and that's the only way they can get up on Labor. Yeah, interesting. Hey, because it's a big issue. Like, they just don't stop talking about net zero at the moment. And it's all an internal party fight thing. Like, they're just doing it, the Liberals, it would seem, to placate the Nationals so they can hold on to their coalition. Because the Liberals have traditionally been supporters of this type of targets, these targets. It's interesting.
When energy prices skyrocket, it costs more to grow food, more to manufacture goods, and more to run homes, businesses, and factories. Energy costs are having an inflationary impact right across Australia. We need affordable and reliable energy, but we won't get that with a net zero target.
What if the cheapest, most sustainable form of energy was biodiesel? Well, see, that's why you have to rely on the experts. Like, go and ask Curtis Yarvin. He's obviously an engineer. He's obviously got a PhD in sustainable technologies, and he's figured out that, like, you know, let's just turn humans into batteries, and especially the shitty ones, right? They get displaced by the technological revolution that's coming. Let's just replace humans. Let's round up all of the undesirables and the useless humans that can't fit into the labor market anymore. We'll use them as biodiesel, right? Biofuel. If this is the Curtis Yarvin reference that unless I've completely missed the window and the reference there. Don't have an issue with disposal. The recycling technology is a lot better nowadays, and we have a giant desert. Humans can engineer their way out of any problem given the resources. If we don't meet net zero, doesn't it financially affect us globally when selling, etc., etc.? Yeah, that's tomorrow's problem. And in bourgeois economics, you don't really think about that sort of stuff. That's the difference between what we were looking at the other day as well with the Chinese and the 5-year plan, right? I wouldn't set you up if I didn't think you'd nail it. I knew that's what you do all this time. You just help set me up. I knew it. Talk about solidarity. Thank you, sir.
I truly believe that the federal Liberals must courageously abandon net zero.
See, like, it's so passionate. Like, people are really so passionate about net zero. Like, do you really care about net zero? These people in the room, do they really care about it? Like, what does it mean to them as long as they get power and it's, like, accessible? Like, let the engineers, let the government, like, you know, let the technocrats, like, figure all that sort of stuff out. Like, why are they so worried about it, ideologically opposed? Unless there is some lobby or interest group out there that is trying to get rid of net zero policy because it lines someone else's pocket. Why are they so like passionate about this? So upset about it. Like, do they really care that much for the fossil fuel industry? I guess a bunch of conservatives, there'd be a lot of people in there that would have some type of ties to the fossil fuel industry, right? And they'd be really wanting to, yeah, fuck the environment. Oh, it'll own the libs for sure. Yeah, I guess there's an element of that, isn't there? Yeah, this'll own the libs. They'll be really upset about this. It's just about that. See, the culture was so irrational So it's like, look, it'll fucking piss off lefties. Let's just do this. That'll piss them off for sure. Gina pays them per clap and on the volume of the cheer. I'm just trying to get my head around this. Like, why does it... Like, because the Liberals have traditionally been very environmental, yeah, at least ostensibly environmental when it comes to this type of stuff, Paris agreements, like moving the economy towards a position that's more sustainable, as opposed to, you know, just greeny for the sake of being greeny, like woke rubbish. Like, sustainability is an important factor, like in your supply chains and energy, you know, efficiency. Like sustainability is key. Treasury modelling, not pursuing net zero by 2050 risks lower economic growth, missed export and employment opportunities, and higher electricity prices. Like, that's the thing. Like, with when we were looking at China and the 5-year plan yesterday, like, do you really want to set yourself up? Like, industrial society works in a particular way. Do you really want to set yourself up to be the people that didn't take on new technology, like, you know, greener technology, more environmentally sustainable or more efficient technology, and diversify your energy sector? Do you really want to be the country that was like left behind and didn't get on top of that at the right time? Because the economic benefit of that is huge, let alone obviously the environmental consequences. It's interesting that people will cut off their nose to spite their face in that sense. They're happy to throw away investment, research, development, innovation, just for, like, you know, net zero, like, kind of thing. I get it from the perspective of, like, you've got to do it so it doesn't affect people's energy prices. She mentioned that straight away, but this doesn't seem like it's just about energy prices. This seems like, you know, someone's on the take here. And they're supporting an industry that should be being phased out because it's not necessary holistically anymore. But there's been a point in industrial civilization where you needed to rely on that solely. And, like, there's a transition period, a weaning period off that. So, like, you know, use your planning, use your innovation, and move off that. You can do that. You can do that in a manner that is reasonable. Interesting. Abolish the nuclear ban, give us nukes and sovereignty, then use nuclear power to power the strengths of the Australian people in areas like R&D and development. Like, we do have research and development in nuclear. Like, we have, you know, Lucas Heights, for example. We look at it scientifically. I don't know if you need nukes just to be able to do R&D into nuclear. Why not thorium? Yes, that too. All the power sources, if it makes sense and doesn't drive the cost of living up. Interesting. I don't know about the nuclear, like, weapons one. Like, do you really want Australia to have nuclear weapons? Or is that just like are you being facetious again? It's like a talking point kind of thing. Give us nukes and sovereignty. Everybody else had them. I just wanted to be popular. Interesting. Yeah, I just don't know if that's the... Is that the same kind of modelling the climate change doomers use? I see developing Australia industry under reliable, cheap power a better option for future prosperity. Interesting. Now, I don't know about the nukes one, though. Like, whether we should have nukes. I know the world's got a lot of nuclear warheads, so, you know, spread them around a little bit. But I think, you know, it's concentrated in a few hands. America doesn't mess with North Korea anymore? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Iran didn't go all the way with nukes and they got bombed. Yeah. Fair enough.
We must relentlessly prosecute the case against the net zero zealotry with arguments grounded in economics and pragmatism. After After all, Australia contributes just over 1% of global emissions. Reaching net zero could cost a staggering $7 to $9 trillion by 2060, as estimated by independent experts. And consider the top emitting countries: China, the United States, India and Russia, which are responsible for about 60% of global emissions.
See, like, do you buy this argument as well? Like, I hear this one a lot. It's just like, yeah, but like Australia is such a small like blip on the map. Who cares about our emissions? Like, because we don't make a difference anyway. So, like, you know, cutting our emissions means nothing on the global stage. So, like, we should do nothing because we're so insignificant. Kind of argument, basically. And like, I don't know if that is a great argument in the first place, just to say that, oh, well, like, you know, we mean nothing, so we shouldn't do anything. Like, we shouldn't live by some type of principles or moral standard or something like that. We understand that there is technology that is available. We shouldn't move towards that technology because fucking who cares? You know, we're only like 1% anyway. And like, we're just a blip, a drop in the ocean. And so that's a reason why we should double down on using an energy source and energy technologies that are like kind of lived out their lives anyway. And we're at like a point, like a crossroads point, where we could actually, like, from a planning perspective, like, we could just start transitioning onto new sources instead of reinvesting in older sources. Again, just speaking from like the history of industrial society, like the societies that spend the money, as she's, you know, saying, like, you know, could cost trillions of dollars to do this. Like the countries and the societies that have spent the time investing in new industrial technologies at the right time, like at transitional points, have been able to continue their legacy into the future. It's a big gamble to kind of just stay with something just for the sake of it. Like, not having any, like, again, diversification. Iran had mastered the fuel cycle. It was a latent nuclear deterrent. If we are small, all the more reason to have energy, every defensive measure that we can. Okay, right. Sorry, I missed something. Right, they weren't even close on a chemistry level, were they? Numbers to a layman, yes, but actuality? Like, in terms of they weren't even close to nuclear weapons? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think the justification really for bombing them was to just, like, actually calm Israel down. Trump stopped Israel from doing more by just taking out their nuclear facilities. And there's like, well, Israel, you got no reason to strike them anymore. To shoot over neighboring territories to get them. That was making the Saudis and everyone else in the region pretty nervous. Around the same time they did all the nuke testing, Washington realized they are actually at risk with countries with nukes. Iran mastered the fuel cycle. It was a latent nuclear deterrent. If we are small, all the more reason to have defensive measure we can. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's just say, like, do you reckon is she speaking literally about the Australian economy or the entire economy? We've just heard a claim. It's funny. That in order for Australia to transition to net zero, it would require $7 to $9 trillion of investment. Is this figure related to Australia specifically? Or is it pertaining to other elements in the world economy? $9 trillion is both for domestic energy systems and export energy systems under a scenario where export energy for hydrogen or other zero emission carriers replaces fossil fuel exports. Okay. Much of this capital is expected to come from overseas customers, not the Australian taxpayers. Okay, so the cost of stopping using our fossil fuels and exporting that to the world and replacing that with other energy is a big factor in the cost here. See, again, from a Marxian understanding of how the industrial world works under capitalism, you can't discount the fact that if the government spends, big dosh on upgrading the economy, that is money, that is investment that stimulates the economy. And in a world where everyone's worried, AI is going to take over, there's not going to be any jobs and there's no security in the future and all that sort of stuff, investing a lot in new tech is a big way to stimulate the economy. In more recent work, 2025, Net Zero Australia revised its estimate. Rather than 7 to 9 trillion, they say about 1.6 trillion of new capital investment would need to be unlocked to reach net zero by 2050. They also estimate this amounts to about 64 billion per year. Okay. No, this is specific. 7 to 9 trillion claim is not global. Okay. It's tied to NZA modelling for Australia's role. For global net zero, other estimates are much larger. For example, Bloomberg said it would cost about US 6.7 trillion a year in clean energy investment. I wonder how much China spends on alternate energy production. Interesting. Pretty big changes based on ideology that can be proved or disproved depending on which expert you're asking. Yeah, there's big differences, my God, between 1.6 trillion and 7 to 9 trillion. That's massive differences there.
Their emissions are increasing, and there's zero chance that they will meet any net zero commitments. These facts simply aren't called out readily enough. Net zero is an absurd policy. It will impoverish and de-industrialise our nation to achieve an emission reduction target that, in an Australian context, will not alter global temperatures one iota. Labor's overbuild of renewables and enforcement of draconian emission reduction policies are only going to cause more harm. More power bills will continue to climb, more businesses will close, and more industries will move offshore. We have an opportunity to preempt the public greenlash that will come, just as it has in Europe and America. Net zero isn't just an energy policy that'll cause your power bills to keep going up. It's about the government dictating how you and your family should live.
Okay, so it's a rights thing. That's what it is. They're impeding on my rights. They can't tell me what to do, even though, they've been doing this stuff for decades and decades and decades since we first industrialized. But now they're attacking your rights. Now the point where you think models can be manipulated depending on the data you input. So who's really right? The science isn't settled. That's how science works. Yeah, so the general rule is it's somewhere between the two extremes, right? So it's like somewhere between 1 trillion and 9 trillion. That's the money. So let's put it at $4 trillion the cost then. We'll call it even. Yeah, this is a big talking point at the moment. And it's like pushing people, I would say, into the right-wing kind of pipeline and right-wing or conservative notions, is this idea that energy is wrapped up in some fight against woke culture, I guess, like that. And it's just it's woke. It's the Department of Wokery that is responsible for things like net zero targets and all that sort of stuff, and it's like pushing alternative energy sources, like sustainable energy sources, specifically. And so it's a culture war issue worth dying over, because it's going to affect you. It takes your rights away. The government is deciding that we're going to push to sustainable technology, and like you didn't even get a chance in a say in that. They're taking away your rights, and no one cares about the impact that's going to have on households. Interesting. She genuinely sounds like she wrote this with ChatGPT. It's just not X, it's Y. Pause for applause. Did we not learn from COVID? The government told us that that was a big deal as well, based on the experts and the models. Yeah, fair enough. Won't somebody think of the households? Well, that's the household rights, really. Like you could manage a transition to new technologies and like think of the household budget. Absolutely. It could not affect people. I'm all for that. But like, thinking of the household rights, she's like, nobody asked you whether you prefer your energy from coal-fired power stations, did they? Eh? Or from natural gas? No. They just imposed their will on you and the business community. That's an attack on your fundamental rights and your freedoms. It's an interesting way of framing the argument at the end of the day. Very interesting. I don't know if I can keep watching her, though. I'm sorry. This is just going to drag on ChatGPT style. She's going to keep on talking about the same thing. All right, let's go to another source. Okay? Let's do this one. So this is someone I think Ninja Nurse suggested that we have a look at. You're harping on about that climate crap, are ya? Never heard of an aircon unit? Lefties lose it one again. Yeah, I know. Once again, right? Yeah, no, look, I'm trying to understand the push against net zero, to be honest. These men want to colonize Australia. This is Drew Pavlou. I don't know if anyone's come across Drew Pavlou before. But yeah, Ninja Nurse has suggested that we have a look at Drew Pavlou's stuff. He seems to be in one of those entries into the right-wing pipeline on social media landscape. He does a lot of various content. This is just a short one. Maybe he'll give us an introduction into what he's really about. But, this is a nice kind of dog whistle one. Like, these men want to colonize Australia and they're wearing kind of, suspicious-looking Arab apparel. And like the irony is like somebody's already colonized Australia. They just want to do it again. You don't like it this time? Andrew Breding, Oregon, Australia, USA, free Palestine, fuck the left and the right, and also the far right and ultra right, soft right, Canadian right, LOL. Welcome. Very staunch position there, Andrew. Welcome to the stream. Still need a blanket in wintertime, we'll be just fine. Her argument can be immediately used against the coalition if they were in power. Well, that's the thing, because they've had this policy for ages, and now it's a big fucking problem all of a sudden. The real big problem. It's funny. All right, let's do this.
The Palestine protest movement aims to colonize Australia. These people are mainly foreigners to this country, either Arab nationalists or Islamist supremacists. And these people, they come to this country as foreigners, and they come to a country with a preformed culture that has been here for 200 years, built by Australians. And they try to change the culture of our country. They try to dominate public spaces. They go out to Bondi Beach with Palestine flags to hold Arab nationalist rallies.
Assalamu alaikum. We gathered here at Bondi Beach today on the lands of the Aboriginal people, of the Gadigal and Bidjigal clans.
They go out to Sydney Harbour Bridge, which was built by Australians, to dominate the Sydney Harbour Bridge. They bring out Al-Qaeda and ISIS flags. We can't even go to the main thoroughfares of our cities anymore, Australian cities that were built by Australians. Arab nationalists and Islamic supremacists, Muslims, they did not build Sydney. They did not build Melbourne. They did not build Brisbane. These were cities that were built by Australians. Australians built up this country. They come to a country that was already preformed before they came here.
Look, this is a funny one because so the argumentation, the line of the argumentation, anyway, is that like if you built it, then you're allowed to enjoy it. Now, I'm not sure if this guy, where this guy is from exactly, but like if he had come to Sydney and went down like say Canterbury Road and New Canterbury Road recently, most of the development that's along that road has been built by Arabs, and Arabs that have been in the country for probably a couple of generations at least now by this point, because they really do dominate the construction industry there. LOL, they dominate bridges. So like, I guess along this, with this line of argumentation, then Arabs can't go into the city. So like Sydney City because, or the CBD, because it wasn't built by them specifically. It was probably built by, yes, a lot of Anglos, Australians, and like heaps of fucking Islanders. Let's be honest. And there's a lot of fucking Arabs in the trades as well, like all over Sydney. So like they are building the city, but they didn't build the city from the ground up. But like they definitely have made their impact in Canterbury. And the Bankstown area, they're definitely doing that in Liverpool. So as long as they stick to places that they've built, then they have full justification to colonize it, I guess, is the argumentation here. So they can colonize Canterbury, they can colonize Bankstown, parts of kind of the Parramatta LGA, large swathes of Liverpool LGA, wherever they have built, they can colonize, is the argumentation, I'm assuming. Unless I've miscommunicated that. Remember that Sonny Bill Williams video I was watching last week about the Muslims who pioneered Australia? Well, they can go out there apparently and they can live in the Sahara Desert or something like that. Like, and he was a famous Bulldogs player. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, wherever they have actually been and helped develop the country, they're allowed to be there. That's the argumentation. They're allowed to colonize that. Colonize that, motherfucker. Sydney Harbour Bridge was built by a lot of Italian stonemasons and quarry workers, though. Oh, well, they're Australian then. So, like, Italians can colonize the Harbour Bridge, just not Arabs. They have to stick to the places that they have actually built from the ground up. That's the argumentation. Unless I've got that wrong.
Thoroughfares of our cities anymore, Australian cities that were built by Australians. Arab nationalists and Islamic supremacists, Muslims, they did not build Sydney. They did not build Melbourne. They did not build Brisbane. These were cities that were built by Australians. Australians built up this country. They come to a country that was already preformed before they came here. A modern, developed country that went from nothing to basically one of the most developed, prosperous economies in the entire world. 27 million people. They come to this country as foreigners to try and change the culture of our country. That is colonization. They're not happy to be another minority group in this country. They're not happy with multiculturalism. These people want to dominate. It's about domination. It's about asserting power. That's why they go out and try and dominate the public spaces. They want to assert their supremacy over Australians. They want to say that they hate our culture, that they hate us, and they want to dominate. That's what they're trying to do. That's why they have to have these big rallies over the Sydney Harbour Bridge. That's why they had the big rallies on Bondi.
So, like, the argument here is that rallying, like, in a pro-Palestinian sense, like, against war and, like, specifically against genocide is a power play. And so these people are using that form of organization as actually a reach and a grab to actually take over Australian, like the Australian governance, like the rule of the country through like pro-Palestinian marches. I don't know, like, did this guy even go to one of those marches? Like, I don't think that's really even the rhetoric used. It's not even close to that. I don't know, man. I'm not convinced by this guy. Did he win a premiership with you guys? 2. Did he retire a Bulldog? My NRL history is hazy. Fair enough. Bro, he retires the Roosters. Get wrecked, doggies? Savage. If people come here and contribute, build, etc., that's fine. It's just the numbers, but also the straight away welfare. That's just me. But like, that's not his argumentation. Is if you build it, then you can use it. So like, if people do contribute, then they can then colonize it. I don't know if that's what he wants though. Like, there are large swathes of Sydney anyway that have been built by like complete, you know, diasporas that are not, you know, Anglo. And so like, they are allowed to own or colonize those parts of the city. Then it's a shitty form of argumentation. Hey, only we can rally. Remember the Cronulla riots? Our deaths not have been the target with that mobs. Yeah, I know, right? I wonder what nationality this guy is. I don't buy into the whole "they hate us" rhetoric. Sounds very Iraq War. Interesting. What did you say, JetB? Drew reminds me of Nick Adams, that insane dude from Sydney who became a US ambassador to Malaysia. It's like K-Fub that forgot it's cosplaying. Yeah, I don't know much about this guy, but he seems like Ninja Nurse seemed to be very offended. Or said this guy was pretty trashy. So there are a lot of Aboriginal flags at the Sydney Harbour Bridge protest. So I guess we're all in Baba Curia now. Interesting. All right, I'll let him finish. In disrespecting his line of argumentation.
It's about domination. It's about asserting power. That's why they go out and try and dominate the public spaces. They want to assert their supremacy over Australians. They want to say that they hate our culture, that they hate us, and they want to dominate. That's what they are trying to do. That's why they have to have these big rallies over the Sydney Harbour Bridge. That's why they had the big rallies on Bondi Beach. That's why we can't even go to the main thoroughfares of our cities anymore. Cities built by Australians, because they dominate the main thoroughfares of our cities every single weekend. You can't even...
Like, is it true? Like, honestly... have you ever been to the main streets of of your main city recently, and like you can't walk down there for fear of domination of Muslim nationalists? This is just fear mongering. This is not even fucking close to being accurate.
Walk through the cities anymore because the Palestine rallies dominate. So it's disrespectful to Australian culture. It's disrespectful to the people who built this nation. They come to our country, which was built before they came, and they try to change it. That is the definition of colonization.
I don't know, man. There was a lot of fucking, not to make it racial, but there was a lot of fucking Anglos at the pro-Palestine march that I went to. It wasn't just, what did he call them? Muslim nationalists, I think he described them as. Interesting. Let's see if we can find anything else from this guy. Drew Pav. Just deport them. There we go.
This is actually a really good question. Why is there a gang in Western Sydney linked to ISIS, trafficking billions of dollars in drugs and murdering dozens of people and organizing firebombing attacks against people like Friendly Jordies? It's the worst kept secret in Australia at this point. Everybody knows that the Alameddine crime family organized the firebombing hit on Friendly Jordies. And it's a really good question. Why are they even in this country? Who in our government decided, great idea, let's bring in literal terrorist criminals to our country and just let them run riot for decades and just murder dozens of people and just run billions of dollars in drugs. Just let them do it. Why? Are they Australian? Of course not. Every single person instinctively understands that the Alameddine crime family are not Australian. They're paper Australians. They came to this country, we welcomed them, and then they spat on us. They hate us. They killed dozens of Australians. They traffic drugs. They're linked to ISIS. Why are they in our country? They hate us so much. So why are they here in this country? We could just deport them all tomorrow. We could just very easily deport them all tomorrow. And that's what I would do if I was the government. If I was the government, I would round them up and deport them. You could pass a law in Parliament, in the federal Parliament, and just do it. You could just very easily do it. It's very obvious. It's very easy. You could do it if people in this country understood how power works and understood how politics works. If they understood that you can't let ISIS-linked criminal gangs operate in this country without dissolving the nation, without just literally destroying the country, then they would just deport them. It's so obvious. If you understood how politics and how power worked, how the world worked, you would just deport them. But our government is too weak. Our politicians are too weak. And unfortunately, even the population is too weak, because if you polled people, should we deport the Al-Mahdi crime family? They'd probably go, no, just deport them. It's so obvious. It's so easy. Lee Kuan Yew destroyed communism in Singapore in one day. Operation Cold Store, look it up. In one day, they rounded up every single top communist in Singapore, crushed communism in the city forever. You could just do that to...
See, look, there's, I think, a difference between organized crime and being associated with a political party. I don't know, man. I'm no expert. But I think political expression is not a reason to go out and round people up. Lee Kuan Yew, everybody likes Singapore because it's clean, eh? And there's no chewing gum on the floor. But like, that is not a shining example of fucking political freedom. Their opposition party lives in exile. Opposition leader lives in exile. I wouldn't really hold it up again as some shining light of freedom, civil liberties, and democracy. Like, I wouldn't hold it up. That's for sure. Not like this guy is. Oh, he's just justifying it. Anyway. But like, look, organized crime, if you got criminals, and like, the real question is, like, should you deport them? If they are criminals within your society, wouldn't your gripe be that your society is not dealing with an organized crime issue well enough? And so what you would actually want is to improve the laws around organized crime families, especially ones that have links to terrorist organizations. Like, isn't that the solution? Instead of just using that as a wedge to pick up and deport anyone that you don't like being in your country, you would tighten up your laws around organized crime. That seems like more of a logical pursuit for me. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but that's what he's describing here. He's got an issue with organized crime. So if you want to change legislation, then change legislation to deal with the organized crime issue, as opposed to normalizing deporting people or kicking people out of your country just because you don't like what they're doing. It's, again, like, you know, you could understand where he's coming from, but like, is the argumentation good? And I'm not convinced. Yeah, what the fuck? He's just advocating for rounding people up and crushing them? Like, what happens when he's on the wrong side of that? Let's just say the fucking commies take over in Australia, and then they decide that they want to round up people that don't agree with them. Like, you're gone, man. Rest of us right cringe. E does it in real time. I'm just, you know, I have an issue with organized crime. Cops are the worst. Yeah. Very interesting. And it's organized, all right. Life sentence for using drugs sounds like a hellscape. Yeah, it's not something to uphold. Like, heaps of people do, though. People love Singapore. I gotta say, like, you know, it's no bastion, it's no libertarian paradise, that's for sure. I was once detained in the Philippines for having prescription meds. You're a ballsy mofo. Hey, taking anything near the Philippines and all those. That's like a lot of those Southeast Asian countries. They don't fuck around. Damn. Drew is kind of guy Aussie lefties think he is right, but they live online. So this is the example they see. Right, okay. I mean, Indonesia was executing people for possession. Yeah. Yeah, that's a ballsy move. Even if it is prescription. Singapore does the same. Singapore kills people. I'm pretty sure they kill an Australian as well. The proportion of people who display their cruelty in the USA right now would be the same proportion as people who are like-minded. Humanity sucks, man. Savage. All right, give me 1 second. No way you were smoking J's in Malaysia. I guess once you're in there, but like if you're caught at the airport and stuff like that, different. I remember being in Malaysia and being offered drugs. I was like, fuck no. No, thank you. Are you a cop? No, thank you. Probably not the smartest thing I've done, but it was some good weed. So good. Singapore only executes supply, not possession. Ah, okay, right. Got it. Good work ethic, though. I've had a couple of Philippine blokes at work over the years. Great to work with. Vietnamese are good too. The Indians, not so much. Thanks for the analysis. On the job experience there. Interesting. All right. Should I let him finish? I keep cutting him off.
The Alameddine crime family. In just one day, you could just round up every single member of the Alameddine crime family and just deport them, and it would be done, and it would be over, and you could just fix the country easily, just like that. It was a choice. Do people think that Alameddine crime family? Do they think that it's just they're a result of poverty? They're trafficking billions of dollars in drugs. Why are they even in this country?
Billions of dollars?
We don't have to have them.
Is that true? Like, is that what they're worth? That's a fucking crazy enterprise, isn't it? Billions of dollars. I don't think lefties think that this is what the right is. But this 4chan fash discords is where a lot of the baity rhetoric is created, which filters through boomer Facebook groups and the manosphere.
In this country, do you think that they just teleported to Australia? That it was just a fact of nature? They migrated to this country. It was a choice to let them in, and it's a choice to let them stay. And why do we make that choice? It's mentally ill. It's mentally insane. If anybody has a brain, you would just deport the Alameddine crime family. You could just do it tomorrow and fix the country. Just do it. It's so obvious. It's so easy. Just get it done.
Just get it done, man. Get it done. Fair enough. So, like, is there a discussion going on in the chat right now, which is this person is actually not right wing at all? They're just like, shady 4chan conspiracy stuff. So it's not actually right wing. Let's have a look here. Get a gun license, some CCTV, a junkyard dog, and a bigger fence. That's why I never support the Labour Party. You don't even need a law to deport them. If you do, it's swiftly and decisively. You can simply deport them all in a day. The courts will need too long. To reverse it. Right. It's almost like you haven't seen the famous Barbara Spectra clip. It's sad, really. You gave up all the future prospects to just be a mouthpiece for the West, and you're not even famous outside the niche internet circles, which just hate your guts. You should have listened to your dad. Savage comment there. Hello, Trump supporter. Nice to meet you. Embarrassing, but really, why? Interesting. Savage response from the audience there. People can be so cruel. He just wants to deport organized crime people, etc., etc. What else did I have here? No, I think we've done good. We've done a good dent in one that I wanted to have a look at today. Actually, nothing beats our leader, Joel Davies, though. All right, so this is one that I came across as well. I've seen these people before. They're called Backyard Bothy. And so they seem to be like these two, I don't know, like middle-aged guys who just drink wine and talk about shit. But like with a right-wing political bent, I guess you would say. Oh man, my camera is really out. It sucks. Testing. Oh, it's really delayed. Fuck. I have to do something about that. Give me a second. It's a little bit better. Drink wine. I wonder what their OnlyFans is like. Yeah, well, wait until you see them. We'll see if you will subscribe to join up to their OnlyFans. Drew's position on the compass depends on your view. If you're like myself and you see liberals as conservatives, then yes, he is. But if you see things like Americans, then he's left. Oh, he's basically a Democrat, establishmentarianism. Yeah, I guess that's the funny thing. I was debating someone about this issue just the other day, and we were speaking about the Democrats, and they were like, kind of, well, what do you want to do with like American politics? And I was like, well, I'm just saying that, like, by Australian standards, the Democrats are, they're pretty fucking right wing. So it's just hard in the context like that. All right, let's have a look. Backyard Bothy. So this is wind farms destroying nature.
Wind towers are going up all around Australia. And this week we saw a documentary on one of our news programs about another wind farm that's going up in Queensland. We thought we'd share that video with you today and then discuss it.
They were once untouched forests, home to koalas and other endangered animals. But the bulldozers are rolling in, and it's all in the name of clean energy.
G'day everyone, welcome to The Bothy. I'm Chris.
I'm Al.
Today we're going to share with you a video that was on one of our news programs that shows the construction of the Lotus Creek wind farm in far north Queensland and the devastation it's doing not only to the natural forest up there, but to the grazing natural cattle country and the local animals, mate. Koalas getting kicked out of their trees, and it's just quite devastating. So we'll share that video.
Koalas getting kicked out of their trees. I wonder if these people have the same issue when, like one of those coal mining companies gets a contract and their only way to access the coal is to dredge through the Great Barrier Reef. I wonder if they have the same problems with that type of stuff.
With you now, and then I'll have a bit of a chat about it.
It's flattened everything, cleared everything. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting.
So this was all forest, just a few months ago.
It's truly shocking to how anyone could think this is great for the climate.
Central Queensland is known by many as the place where cane, coal and cattle country collide. It's a fairly remote region and it's a powerhouse for the national economy. But lately its industrial and environmental landscape has changed.
We need to decarbonise, but we need to be smart how we do that. And this is not smart.
Stephen Nowakowski is a greenie at heart. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find a nature lover quite as passionate as he is. He's a wildlife photographer and a former candidate for the group.
No, this is just a vehicle to point out the hypocrisy of climate change environmentalist propaganda. Yeah, okay. So it's just like, we got you. Hey, you want your green technology, but look at you, destroying the environment. We got you now. Yeah, fair enough.
Greens. They're getting it wrong, says Stephen, 2 hours south of Mackay on the Great Dividing Range at Lotus Creek.
All the climate modelling is showing that all these high elevation areas are critical for the survival of our wildlife.
And yet it's where he captured this footage last month, tree clearing in an area home to koalas and other endangered species for a 46-turbine wind farm. Lotus Creek Wind Farm is a $1.3 billion project creating 300 jobs in its construction. The land being cleared is not of national park status, it's cattle country under pastoral lease. But nevertheless, Stephen says saving the environment shouldn't come at the expense of the environment.
I think it's delusional. Yeah, I think it's complete delusion for anyone to say it's okay to clear forests to combat climate change.
Stephen is also worried about the cumulative impact of further projects in the pipeline.
We've mapped around 41,000 wind towers across Australia so far. But there is no plan. It's all being developer driven. So developers come in, such as these developers and others, they'll come in and cherry pick where they want to go.
So why build them here? Well, there are two main reasons. Firstly, the Great Dividing Range is windy.
Sounds like a typical capitalistic issue, doesn't it? Like, if he's describing that accurately there, it's just like, well, there's no real plan. They're just kind of letting it happen as the developers want to do it. So, like, the developers will pick the sites that are conducive to the least cost associated after they get fat government contracts, thanks to the revolving door system, the game of mates system that we have in a place like Australia. Yeah? Interesting. This is how they built all of Australia. Like, you can't just suddenly say you care about climate action when it's about your pet hate. Yeah, it's pretty much land clearing. That's just the story of Australia. That's Australia's development history, land clearing. Which is, it's not unusual. It's what happens everywhere. But like, yeah, what he's described there is the developers get to say as to what land they want to develop because it's got to meet their cost margin, right? Then this is this is juxtaposed against the system that we were looking at just yesterday when we were looking at the 5-year plan of China, and like their planning system doesn't just deal with the effects of profit. They use the private industry, but they also plan and they make the call over private interests when necessary to kind of get the results that is the best for China's people. And it would seem the environment, which is more and more part of their 5-year plans and strategies. So it's got to meet multiple tests. It's got to meet a socialized test as opposed to just a profit-based test. This is the same channel that hosts The Block, and no one jerks off developers more than Channel 9. I think that's actually comment of the day. There we go. We have winner of comment of the day. And no one jerk circles off developers more than Channel 9. There it is. Oh my God.
Enough that it's worth.
Channel 9 headquarters is literally National Park, where they had to clear it to build their giant radio tower, etc. Interesting.
While farming the wind here. And secondly, transmission lines currently connecting aging coal-fired power to the grid are a stone's throw away. This is the Clark Creek wind farm, about an hour south of Lotus Creek. It too runs through privately owned cattle country.
We're looking at many millions of hectares that will need to be disturbed.
All in the name
of green energy.
Okay, so that was on Current Affair last week. Yep. Lotus Creek wind farm, about an hour north of another wind farm that already exists. The number there that jumps out of both of us, I think, is 41,000 wind towers in Australia. I don't reckon there'd be 5,000 of them working at any one time, but 41,000.
That's crazy, man.
It is.
Crazy.
And we're only able to produce 30% of the power we require.
And that's only if it's windy.
Yeah.
And not too much wind.
It's got to be like, what is it, 10 to 20?
Oh.
10 to 30? I don't know. That was a $1.3 billion project that's created 300 jobs.
46.
And 46 towers.
That's it, 46 towers.
I'll put a photo up so you see it below. You know, in America where they've got those great big desert paddocks just full of dead old planes? Yeah. They've started doing that with dead old wind farms, towers. There's one in Texas that is, as far as you can see, wind towers are lying on the ground, broken down and rusted. It's unbelievable. So CS Energy is Queensland government owned.
Yeah.
So that's like the old SEC. So that I found really interesting. The other thing that scared me in there is no planning. Developers can pretty much choose wherever it is that they want to go.
Yep.
They choose their own location. None of it is being planned out properly by any government. It's first investor, we'll take that land, we'll take that land.
It's a free-for-all, isn't it?
Yeah. And that is, they don't care what they're doing to the local environment.
No.
They say that there's another paddock that hasn't got any trees and they're going to plant 3 times as many trees as they're knocking down. So what, are we going to wait 40 years for those trees to grow like that old forest was? So they're saying they're minimising the impact, but that's not minimising the impact.
That's kind of how it works. If you're going to plant trees, you do have to wait for them to grow. Look, I don't think they understand how fucking accurate they are. I think they are right. Like, this is what they're describing here is a form of development that happens in a capitalistic system. They're like, the government goes, look, we need to do something. We need some renewable energy sources. Let's put some wind farms. Here's a whole bunch of, here's a whole bunch of funding. Here's a whole bunch of taxpayer money. And then they just turn to the private sector and they're just like, all right, who wants the contract? And like I said, the revolving door that goes on between the bureaucracy and the private sector is fucking incestuous and insidious. It's despicable shit. Again, I can tell you from my time in government. And so like they turn around to their friends in the private sector and they're like, give us a costing. Who wants the contract? And then they'll just go out and do it, as they're describing, haphazardly, based on a cost-based analysis of it. And they won't do it in a situation or in a way that is probably conducive to the best social outcome or the best environmental outcome or a myriad of those features. No, they will do it based on what's the most profitable. This is what happens when you go to the market. And so like if they are describing an issue with the way that the developers have been given, carte blanche to just go ahead and do this, like unravel these developments across the landscape and fuck the consequences, then I gotta agree that is a fucking problem. Now, if I was doing this, if I was the government, to borrow rhetoric from that other guy, something Pavlu, whatever his name was, if I was the government, I would do something that's more conducive to, I guess, what FDR had done. And you got $1.3 billion to do this. Well, then do it as a government body. Why do you have to hand this out to the private sector? It pains me that like everyone's just their default setting is just like, oh well, they've decided on this project, they've got $1.3 billion for it, and it just has to go out to private contractors. That is a new phenomenon. We used to sort things out very differently like 50 years ago. There was so much more government work that went on, especially in construction and development, and now it's all done by the private sector. I wonder if they do a comparative analysis with other forms of energy, or if they look into what actual environmental regulatory processes went down beyond current affair. Like if they were worried about a lack of environmental regulations, great job. Yeah, I don't buy this whole, we're worried about this, but then also at the same time not critiquing the fact that the government is just literally writing checks here. They're literally writing checks so that like friends that own massive construction companies that are capable of doing these projects get the contracts. Like, why not keep it in public hands, the whole process, and simply just use that money to stimulate the economy? That's what you could do. You could just hire those 300 people through government contracts. Because even the government knows they don't know how to build properly, LOL. At least modern ones. Oh, come on. I don't think that's true. I think Australia actually has a pretty good record of public projects, actually. And we stopped and have just since, I would say, for the last 50 years, have just handed it over to the private sector. And just so we don't have to have employees on the books, because government employees get good conditions, I would say. So that's a big part of it as well.
Devastating.
It looks shite.
The other thing that worries both of us is cattle countries being eroded.
Yeah.
So meat will go up.
Well, we'll all be eating bugs anyway, so...
yeah.
But Albert told me the future was made in Australia. Well, it is.
Not this little black duck. I ain't going to be eating bugs.
It's made in Australia by the private sector. Don't forget that. Now, just as a heads up to you, Indoctrination, if you are listening right now, I have to finish earlier than typical today. So I'll be finishing before 3, not 3:30, like 10 minutes before 3 or something like that. So if you are listening and you want to get rated, I hope you're in a position to set yourself up for that. So in just under an hour, I've got to bounce. Just a heads up. Should we let these guys finish? I'll let them finish.
Sea bugs like prawns and lobster.
No.
No?
Norton Bay bugs, no.
What? I like that.
Not
That's a good
those bugs.
Oh, it was also interesting what they said about that coal mine nearby.
Mm.
And look at all the coal they've got.
I know.
And it's going overseas, man.
Yep.
India, Indonesia, China. For steel and energy.
Yeah. Like that Greenie, he said, why are we rushing into it?
Yeah.
Why not get our shit together first before we turn all these power plants off?
Yeah.
Because we still need them.
Yeah.
And it's obvious we need them.
What is solar and wind towers, wind farms, whatever you want to call it, doing for global warming?
Mm.
Yeah. And what we're looking at lately, it might actually be not helping to bring the temperature down.
Possibly that's actually caused a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't know.
I think we do.
Yeah.
I think he is Scottish. Yeah. Because I remember hearing him speak about the March for Australia, and like they were like, "Oh, you're a migrant," kind of thing, and he's like, "Yeah, but I love Australia." And he was saying where he came from. I'm pretty sure he's Scottish. Yeah.
I think yeah. You know what I reckon, mate? I got a theory. Net zero is the new millennium bug. Remember in 2000 when all our computers were going to blow up?
Oh, 2000. Yeah. The computers won't know what to do. Planes will drop from the sky.
Exactly. We're walking to work on that. I remember on that New Year's Day, we had to be at work.
Yeah, just
to see if everything had fallen apart. And of course, guess what?
No.
Nothing.
I know people, they were selling the...
Do you reckon that's like a fair comparison? Like computers were not set up properly to bring in the new millennia. And like internal clocks are significantly important for computing systems, obviously. You know, error. And like this is the Y2K. Net zero is the Y2K. It's like if we go past 2050 and then everyone's going to realize that the world is not going to stop moving. Eh? I don't think that is a fair analogy. That's not the point. The point is reaching thresholds, I think, of points of no return. Interesting.
The backpack thing with all the goodies in it, so you can escape into the middle of nowhere and be safe.
Yeah.
Like one of my wife's friends, boyfriends, he did that. He wasn't even going to take his girlfriend. He says, "You're not coming. I'm going. See ya." But yeah.
Well,
I think she married him.
She didn't know. So that's how I look at it. Something might happen. Yeah. Do we need to get to net zero? No, but it's such a big industry. They can't stop it now.
Yeah.
How do you turn it off?
Well, it's not even started in China or India.
No.
The two biggest economies in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they're making shitty comparisons. Yeah. But like, I don't know if that's a fair call either. Just being like, China's not even doing it. I'm pretty sure China's going fucking ham on diversifying their energy sources. Going ham. Every year there is a 1 in 500 year flood and hurricane. So yes, literally planes will drop from the sky. Very good. Don't think I'm getting out of here on time. 90, yo. Like we won't stop talking. Okay. Damn. Yeah, apologies. All right, I've got to leave early today.
To say we'll get to net zero. I don't think we will, but we'll get close to it, and they'll be like,
even as I'm typing. Okay. Good luck with the struggle.
Gonna keep on going since you're doing such a good job.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that's like a shit analysis as well, in the sense that, you know, it's just another way. It's just another industry kind of thing. Like this type of technology has only come about because people just decided they wanted some change. They're like, oh, let's just have some new clothes or something like that. Let's buy a new car. There was no impetus other than let's just change the tech. And so the industry is gone. The Pandora's box is open. There's no stopping it now. There was no other impetus behind it. There was no real need at certain points in like recent history where people have been concerned about the reliability of fossil fuels itself. Like there's always been a big discussion about when is the next discovery going to be made? When's the next oil deposit? Where's the next coal deposit? When's the next gas deposit? Like, how are we going to manage moving into the future? Do we need to look at like of varying or alternative energy sources? It's just like, oh, we just wanted to change. That's a shit go, honestly. Like, it's not a good assessment of the situation, that there were just a bunch of hippies out there who were just like, hey, let's just change the energy. Also, I'd rather in 150 years time some kid comes across a pile of old windmill bits than comes across a forgotten nuclear waste dump. Interesting. Order of priorities there, it would seem. I don't know. I'm not going to listen to these guys anymore. Politicians should be jailed. Where are all the Greens? Yeah, where are the greenies now? Hey, true greenies find this disgusting. The ones that are on the gravy train still promote it. So good. It's the age of dumbass. Coal all the way. I think that's like the most accurate thing here, right? Yep, so dumb. Thanks for commenting. Cheers. Yeah, it's just ideological. Coal better than new technology. We don't need to decarbonize. Yeah, fair enough. And so, like, I get it. So this is like, it's difficult. Like, I feel for people that are like, coal is the way. We don't need to decarbonize, because they probably really believe in this idea that like, we've got fucking resources. Why can't we benefit off them? But like, I don't think they realize that what they're regurgitating is the propaganda that comes from, you know, corporations and entities that profit off the sale, processing, and distribution of those resources. It's not about the fact that we're going to get some type of windfall from our own resources. It's just a group of capitalists somewhere and their friends in government, I guess, that are going to make bank. And so, like, we're the culture warriors that help them in their agenda. There are some that sit on the green tech side, and there's some that sit on the coal or side, especially for Australia. And there's just a bit of a argy-bargy between them, and we all just fall for their culture war rhetoric. It reminds me of when they say Australia isn't that big of a polluter and China needs to do more, when we're like one of the world's top leaders in coal exports to places that are top polluters. But we love a good underdog story in a medal tally. Why can't we identify how much we're punching up, RE, how much we pollute? Eh? Well, we're a good underdog then, aren't we? And that's why they're supportive of it. They like being that good underdog, the one that contributes more than their stature, punching above their weight. All right, we're going to have a quick break and we'll be back for some afters. If you've been chilling and hanging out today, interacting, etc., I do thank you. We had Aliana earlier on. We had Dilemmas. Han was in for a little bit. Kai, Indoctrinathan, Jag, Grantifa back in the house. It's good to have you. Who else have I missed here? 4AS coming in later too. Jet B. Jerry Poppins in for a little bit. Andrew. New to the stream, I believe. Thanks for coming in, everybody. And yeah, we will be doing afters, so we're just gonna have a quick break. And if you want to hang out, please stick around. I have friends representing Australia at COP25 climate conference, and they say every year they're socially ostracized by every other country. Oh my God, that's crazy. Why? Because Australia has such a bad rep at the climate conference. Damn. Agreed, Jet. In time to come, it's the producers who will pay reparations, like drug dealers. It's the producers who get the worst punishment. In time. We shall see in time. Thank you everyone. And yeah, like I said, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, we are back. So, if you are hanging out for the afters today, I want to draw your attention to some very interesting drama that's going on in the whole Mamdani situation. Now, it's all been pretty quiet, I think, since Mamdani was elected. Like, he's done a couple of big things, like, he made the announcement of his transition team, his all-female cast, and everyone was getting pretty excited about that. He's also kind of announced his second in charge, his deputy mayor, and his chief of staff. So it would seem, important picks there. He's done a few interviews here and there, just talking about his victory, etc., etc. But behind the scenes, there's a little bit of drama. Now, I would like to read this just because I think the drama that's going on behind the scenes is actually very indicative of the personality types, the egos that we're dealing with here. I think a lot of the fever that has come from people who are supportive of Mamdani, especially aspirational, not aspirational, sorry, people that are very positive of the left and the potential of what Mamdani represents, being a self-described democratic socialist, kind of this feeling that he is going to be the change, and like the Democratic Party is, it's not gonna be the same ever again. It's not gonna be this vehicle of corporate power, just like it does it with a more humane approach to the Republican Party, and like he's going to help revolutionize the Democratic scene, really. This article provides kind of an inside view into what's happening at the moment politically within the Mamdani campaign, not campaign anymore, the Mamdani political grouping, and it shows that there's a disparity between himself and a gentleman by the name of Chi Ossie. Now, Ossie, we watched in the Channel 5 documentary on Mamdani and the Mamdani experience. Chi is a New York City council person. So like they're a local government, a municipality level, a city level government figure, and he's like 26, I think. And so like he campaigned, and this is the guy that came up with the Mamdani playbook. So everyone talked a lot about how Mamdani was so successful with his social media campaign, and the skeleton, the structure for the social media campaign that Mamdani won that was so effective came from this guy. This guy did it back in the day. I don't know how long ago, like a few years ago, and he's described as a queer Buddhist socialist, and like, so he's from the DSA as well, and so like he's right up Mamdani's alley, and he is a councilman, so he's in the municipal level of government, the local level of government, and Mamdani is, I guess, now his mayor, and so he's political superior, I guess you would say. But like he wants to challenge for Hakeem Jeffries' spot. So Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of the House Reps of Congress for the Democrats. So he's kind of the head honcho within the Democrats of Congress at the moment, and he's African American as well, and so it's interesting that we have kind of this clash. But he's the representative for Brooklyn, I believe, in Brooklyn, and like so they're potentially going to contest. This Aussie guy wants to contest against Jeffries. Now this is causing a bit of a stir, and this does relate to Mamdani. So we're going to have a read here. So Aussie defies Mamdani and Jeffries inside the coming civil war of New York's left. So Brooklyn is bracing for a political street fight, and this isn't, and this one isn't between Democrats and Republicans. So this isn't Gangs of New York shit. It's in the Democratic Party itself. Left-wing Gen Z city councilman Chi Ossie is preparing to challenge House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in next year's congressional race, according to the New York Post. The 26-year-old TikTok famous activist reportedly believes the time is now to take on one of the most powerful Democrat positions in Washington. So, like, we have Hakeem Jeffries, who is, establishment Democrat. He's poster boy. He's a person of color, and he like heads the team. But he's fully immersed within the Democratic vehicle. He's as liberal as you can get it, and I mean that in the pejorative sense in this fashion. I mean, he's just generally loves freedoms. I mean, he's a fucking liberal, and he's in there, and he's a Democrat shill. So, and that's fine. That's his choice. But like, he's not pretending to be anything else. But Aussie is like, he's the weird, quirky socialist guy. He's gay, or he's queer, whatever they describe themselves as. And so like, he's a bit edgy. And like he got into his nice position as a councilman, so everyone should clap and accept that, and like everyone should be like, oh, isn't that nice? We're all progressive. But like now he wants to go after someone who's actually a heavyweight within the Democratic organization and holds a very important position of power. And everyone's like, whoa. He's nice when he's a New York councilman, like, but do we really want him challenging our kind of poster child? And like, so people are kind of upset about that happening. So, oh, what's this? I didn't see this before. YouTube. Mr. Trump goes to heaven. This is about the same guy that directly inspired the video producer of the Mamdani video's social media campaign. Oh, interesting. All right, let me watch this after I do a little bit more of this reading here. But his announcement is causing a political earthquake in his own backyard, creating a major headache for New York's incoming mayor, Zohran Mamdani. So it doubles down. Not only is this guy causing a headache potentially for the Democratic Party, but this is having the feedback loop is affecting Zohran. And so this is where it gets interesting, because it's not just like, old guard versus new guard here. Mamdani's got something to say about this. We said you could be a side character, buddy. Save the main character energy for the old people. There's a bit of that going on here. So he's like too, threatening. He's too from the radical left, and he needs to be dealt with. But the problem is, like, you would think that someone like Mamdani, who has literally just done that, has been the guy from the radical left who has taken the world by storm and is now a household name, would be like, yes, let us together, brother, revolutionize the Democratic Party. Like, this is what leftists have been aspiring for. Many people have warned against this type of, hey, you can just vote your way to socialism and just take over an existing institution. And like, this could be, a watershed moment here. Mamdani's taken control, and the parties had to succumb to that. If he gets a few more allies on board, like this Aussie guy, hey, you might have yourself a real significant change in the Democratic Party. But the plot thickens. Challenge heard across Brooklyn. Now, he said he wants to strike while the iron's hot, one insider told the Post, describing Aussie's eagerness to mount a primary challenge against Jeffries. The iron, of course, is the progressive momentum still burning after Mamdani's historic mayoral win. The first time in New York City's history that a self-described socialist has captured City Hall. But not everyone on the left is thrilled to see Aussie use Mamdani's coattails for his own rebellion. According to party insiders, Mamdani personally asked Aussie not to run. What's that about? Warning that it could fracture the alliance he's been painstakingly building between Democratic establishment and the far left base. So Mamdani's been in there in the background, making sure he sits nicely in between, or as a bridge, let's just say. I'm not going to make assumptions here, but like, this is what it's talking about, as a bridge between the establishment Democrats and the far left, this radical base that he's supposed to be representative of. Now, for months, Mamdani, 34, eloquent, self-aware, and his newfound power, has been quietly meeting with party moderates, including Governor Kathy Hochul, to reassure them that his radical rhetoric can coexist with pragmatic governance. Now, this is interesting from a democratic socialist, but again, for someone who is in a position that is precarious, fine. Okay, I can still govern the country. Oh, sorry, govern the city. So, like, you got to be pragmatic to a certain extent. I get that. Aussie's insurgency threatens to blow that up before Mamdani even takes office. This is interesting. America isn't xenophobic, it's just commie-phobic. Yeah, all those illegals are just communists. That's why they need to be taken care of. You can vote your way in, but you got to shoot your way out. Spits tobacco, America. Interesting. Strike while the iron's hot. How about listen to the next mayor? Who is the hottest thing in politics right now? Another frustrated insider told the Post, echoing what several Democratic operatives are reportedly saying behind closed doors. For New York Democrats, the timing could not be worse. With national attention already fixed on Mamdani's socialist experiment and conservatives gleefully predicting a financial meltdown after his free-for-all promises, Aussie's challenge to Jeffries adds fuel to an already smouldering intra-party fighter. Jeffries, 54, is no small target as House Minority Leader, the highest ranking Democrat in Congress, and the heir to the apparent Nancy Pelosi legacy. His Brooklyn district is safely blue, but it's also politically symbolic, a bellwether for the Democratic Party's generational divide. To the establishment, Jeffries represents competence and continuity. To the left, he represents complacency, the corporate Democrat who talks about justice while fundraising with Wall Street donors. So Aussie is challenging the billionaire class and their representative in Congress. One of their representatives. And so Aussie believes that it's time to replace him. Now, wouldn't you think, given the rhetoric, that Mamdani would want to support someone who is clearly ideologically aligned with him in terms of, wanting to bring down the billionaires who really rule over society? Mamdani's fragile truth. Mamdani's own advisors describe the feud as deeply personal. The mayor-elect reportedly views Aussie as an ally turned loose cannon, a social media-driven radical whose campaign could shatter months of quiet bridge building. And it's not just about Jeffries. It's about Mamdani's broader project. Legitimizing socialism in the largest city in America would, without scaring away the moderate Democrats whose cooperation he needs to govern. So there is logic here. He needs the Democrats. He needs their cooperation to get through some of the policies. Aussie's rebellion makes that balancing act nearly impossible. Mamdani is trying to convince Albany that socialism can work, one senior Democratic strategist told Politico. Then here comes Chi Aussie saying the quiet part out loud, that the left doesn't want to compromise. That's a gift to every Republican talking point for the next year. Now, if Mamdani's in for a period, who cares what the talking points are for the next year? Who gives a shit, right? Right? Who cares what the Republicans are saying? Mamdani will be in for a set period of time. Doesn't matter. They've got plenty of time to, establish himself as kind of mayor for life kind of stuff if he's interested. The social media generation meets the machine. Aussie, who gained fame as a protest leader during the 2020 Black Lives Matter demonstrations, has since built an online following by branding himself as a voice of Gen Z progressives. He's charismatic, media savvy, and unapologetically theatrical, traits that make him both political force and a nightmare for party leadership. His TikTok videos, often filmed from City Hall, combine pop culture humor and leftist messaging about rent control, defunding the police, and decolonizing city institutions. That style resonates with the younger voters who see traditional politicians as stale and disconnected. But for older Democrats, it's a reminder that social media fame isn't the same as legislative experience. As one Brooklyn Democrat insider puts it, she got charisma, sure, but this isn't City Hall anymore. It's Congress. You don't go from TikTok to taking on Hakeem Jeffries without consequences. Savage. Eh? Matt Bond in the house. Good afternoon. It's good to have you. We're looking at some drama behind the scenes of the Mamdani experience at the moment. And like, is he as democratic socialist as he has portrayed, or is he kind of playing the game of savvy politician within the democratic establishment and a capitalist machine? And he seems to not care too much for other radicals taking his limelight, it would seem, or weaponizing it anyway. The Mamdani experience, such a good description of it. That's what it feels like, right? Everyone's just like kind of waiting to see what happens now that there's a democratic socialist Muslim, you know, at the head of the citadel of world capitalism. This is the shining city of world capitalism. You got a Muslim democratic socialist. What's that about? The tension between Aussie and Mamdani became impossible to ignore when Aussie skipped the mayor-elect's victory party. Oh my God. Decision that did not go unnoticed. Mamdani's election celebration at the Brooklyn Paramount was supposed to be a coronation for the city's ascendant socialist movement, but Aussie's absence was symbolic. Now, it is symbolic. Like, as we said, like, this guy was the guy who wrote this playbook on using and as being a TikTok politician in New York. Mamdani went to him or Mamdani's team and was just like, how did you do it? Tell me your secrets. And so Mamdani used his formula. And then now this guy wants to use his own formula again to take on the democratic establishment. And he's basically just saying, no, sorry, you can't do it. You can't do it. I don't want you to do this. Socialism meets the real world. The contradiction now threatens to define the new mayor's office. Mamdani campaigned on universal childcare, rent freezes, and free city buses. Faster. Free city buses, all while promising to tax the wealthy and corporations to pay for it. The math, even by generous estimates, doesn't add up. Economists have pegged the annual cost of his proposals at $10 billion, more than the city's entire police budget. I don't know. That doesn't sell it for me. Fuck the police budget. Who cares? The reality insiders say is that Mamdani will need to compromise to get anything done. Aussie, meanwhile, has no such constraints. For him, taking on Jeffries isn't about legislation, it's about revolution. Okay, let's continue the revolution. The DSA divide. Aussie rejoined the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA, over the summer after briefly leaving the group in 2020, citing disagreements over messaging. His return signaled a renewed commitment to the far left movement, but also reopened old wounds. Mamdani, though, a DSA member himself, has been trying to position his administration as more inclusive and pragmatic, downplaying the group's more radical language. He's even met with major business leaders to reassure them that his policies won't scare investment out of the city. Look, if they're going to go, they're going to go. It's got nothing to do with what you can say. Like, the capitalist class will fucking respond to you whatever way they see fit. We got a Muzzy in the house of capitalism. It's a bit like that. Eh? A DS Muzzy. The red apple. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I know. Aussie's decision to re-embrace DSA activism and now take on Jeffries undermines that effort. It signals to moderates that the far left intends not to cooperate but to dominate. One Democratic operative summed it up bluntly. This is the AOC playbook all over again, and Mamdani knows it, but he's trying to play both sides, and she's making that impossible. The establishment fights back. Jeffrey's team isn't taking it lightly. Now, inside the Gen Z rebellion, Aussie's movement is more than a campaign. It's an aesthetic. Slickly produced videos, moody background music, stylized topography. This is activism made for the algorithm, and his supporters don't talk in traditional policy terms. They talk about vibes, energy, and breaking the system. Vibes. So good. I think it's the word of the 2020s. Just putting it out there. That language connects powerfully with a generation that came of age amid pandemic chaos, climate anxiety, and student debt. They see politicians like Jeffries as part of a permanent ruling class that never delivers real change. But it also alienates older Democrats who still believe in the party unity and incremental progress. The New Left does not want reform the system, one DNC staffer said. They want to burn it down and rebuild it on TikTok. Mamdani's tightrope walk. Caught in the middle is Zoran Mamdani, the 34-year-old socialist mayor-elect who now finds himself trying to govern a city while refereeing a political brawl between two wings of his own movement. Privately, advisors say Mamdani sees Aussie's campaign as reckless and narcissistic, a stunt that could derail his legislative agenda before it begins. Publicly, he said little, but allies have begun urging Aussie to respect the mayor's timeline and avoid internal fights that divide the left while the right regains power. Yet, for all his frustration, Mamdani knows he created this moment. His campaign rhetoric, no more waiting, it's time for revolution, lit the same fire that Aussie is trying to wield. The irony is rich. The revolutionary mayor now begging for order. This is interesting. Vibes are a thing, though. That's why hitting right-wingers with weird and creepy works so well. It's not specific, but we all know what it means. It hits the truth. Yeah, man, vibes, that's why I said vibes is the term of the 2020s. Like, vibes encapsulate this sentiment that is within the general population. You know, they used to call it common sense, you know, back in the day, all that sort of stuff. But like vibes, man. Vibes. It's almost like aligning with the Democratic Party was a bad idea. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, because you got to play the game. This one's interesting, though. Mamdani wanted to face the movement. One long-time Democratic donor said, so establishment person who pulls strings. Now he's learning the movement does not take orders. Interesting. Sorry, this one here. When the irony is rich, the revolutionary man now begging for order. Not going to say I told you so, but I told you so. See, this is interesting because we were having this discussion on a Friday, I reckon, like 2 months ago. Huh? Eh? It was probably 2 months ago. And we were speculating on the Mamdani experience and what it was going to look like. It's interesting. It's like he's trying to keep stability for him to do his thing. Again, we can take that on face value and be like, maybe he's just trying to get his policies through and he needs the stability. But like him turning around and saying to someone else that they can't run for a high political office because it's going to fuck him up, it's a big call, man. It's a big call. The vibe didn't help Albo with the voice, LOL, although they just legislated it anyway. Well, not across the board. But like the vibe definitely helped Albo win a majority, a significant majority that we're not used to in Australian politics. Not for at least a decade or so. Interesting. All right, sorry. You had put something in here, I think. Jet. Let's have a look what you put in. It must be related to this, right? This is by the same guy that directly inspired the video producer of the Mamdani video social media campaign. Okay, let's have a look. A lighter vibe, shall we? I think vibes even are proven to win in the voice debate. Ha! That's funny. That's pretty much it, right? What's this? Mr. Trump goes to heaven? Okay, let's have a look at this. Let's do something light on Friday afternoon. Like, if you don't know, vote no is a vibe-based argument. Yeah, it is. It's like vibes, man. So important. It would seem. All right, let's have a look here.
Trump is going to be a nice man now. He came close to death.
One of the tragic things about life is that it ends. How often do you think about your death? Are you afraid of it?
Tick tock, tick tock. It is what it is. I mean, you know, tick tock. You're supposed to go to heaven, ideally not hell. But you're supposed to go to heaven if you're good. Ideally not hell. You know.
You know, let's go to heaven. Let's get into heaven. I want to try and get to heaven if possible.
You're a vessel.
You want to go to heaven.
You're a chosen vessel.
Okay? You want to go to heaven.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven.
If you don't have heaven, you almost say, what's the reason? Why do I have to be good? Let's not be good. What difference is it?
I think I'm not maybe heaven bound.
Make no mistake, he is heaven bound because I've seen the hand of God on him for a very long time, guiding him through the most unthinkable, and he will go to
My
heaven.
father's looking down, my mother and father, they're looking down because they're definitely in heaven. They made heaven.
I think my father's in heaven. He was a strong guy, but a great guy, but a strong guy. He's looking down on us right now. It's so incredible. Look at this, how this turned out. Look at that, how beautiful that is. There's no artist that can capture it as beautiful as it is today. Wow. It's amazing. But he's looking down at me right now.
I think you'll find Dutton won the Albo election completely unelectable. Still vibes though, right? All right.
And he's saying, how the hell did this happen to my son? My son, my son, my son, my son.
How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No, dead.
Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick.
Dead. Horrible word. Dead. I'm going to die. 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 Shut up! I'm going to die. 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 It's called. It's called. It's called.
It's fucking wild, isn't it? My God. That was an intense moment just then.
You're dead. He was dead. That was the end, right? He was dead. He died.
Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock.
I can tell you, maybe the one thing he does that might have influenced heaven is, I think there's a lot less people going to heaven, meaning they're going to heaven slower because he stopped the death and destruction around the world. He slowed down the journey to heaven for a lot of people, in that they'll spend more time on this earth and they'll get there, but they won't get there for a number of years because he stopped innocent young kids from absolutely getting run through a meat grinder unnecessarily, and that in itself will get my father to heaven.
I am the chosen one.
Jet, what the fuck did we just watch? It only came out an hour ago. That's crazy. You are across it. Mental. You are doing God's work. Pick up your targets well and your aim is always impeccable. That's hilarious. Don't do whatever drugs Junior does, kids. So good. This is a massive trip. Forget the Gillard scenario. I think Dutton's opposition campaign has to be one of the worst ones in political history. Just finishing up work? So I should be live by 3:30. Okay, if anyone wants to join. I'm going to start looking into some more Russell Crowd's analysis of America and Australia. Maybe Russell Crowe, maybe Russell Crowd's. Did you hear that? If you haven't already, if you are on TikTok, Get yourself over to TikTok. About 3:30, Indoctrinathan will be starting his stream. So go and support, man. Was meant to be Crow. Okay, got it. We're thinking about the same guy. All right, that was very interesting. All right, let me just read you a couple more from this. I've got to take off though. The real battle for the Democratic Party, Jeffries calculator. Okay, the broader picture for Democrats in New York is bleak. In the span of a week, their newly elected socialist mayor is under fire for hypocrisy. The House leader is facing a Gen Z rebellion. Gen Z, man, it's all about Gen Z now. And their internal alliances are fraying before the next election cycle begins. Republicans don't have to win New York to benefit. They just have to watch the Democrats fight each other. As one GOP strategist said, told the Washington Times, Democrats don't need enemies when they have Chi Aussie. Interesting. The iron cools fast. Back in Brooklyn, Aussie's slogan, "Strike while the iron is hot," has become both a rallying cry and a warning. The iron might be hot, but political heat cuts both ways. If his challenge fails, Aussie risks being branded as the activist who divided the movement before it even began. If it succeeds, it could be shockwaves through Washington, proving once again that the Democratic establishment has no control over its left flank. Either way, the damage to the party... Oh my God, I can't read. Either way, the damage to party unity is already done. Look, I think anyone who actually believes in the Mamdani experience is hoping for that. He's hoping for the latter then, right? That the challenge is made, it's successful, and that helps revolutionize the party away from being a corporate vehicle and being something that represents, you know, the values of DSA members, right? That would be nice. Control. The video worked. Mystery is saying TikTok. Huh. Interesting. Zoran Mamdani's ascent was supposed to mark a new era of solidarity for New York progressives, a moment when activists and pragmatists could finally coexist. Instead, within a week of his win, he's facing internal revolts, ideological infighting, and the national embarrassment of the $22 cocktail controversy. Thanks for showing that. No worries. Thanks for sharing. That was great for a Friday Arvo. So good. It's the perfect metaphor for the new left, loud, idealistic, and perpetually at war with itself. As one Brooklyn political observer put it dryly, socialism promised free buses and unity. What we got was a cash bar and chaos. The cash bar is in relation to his victory party. People had to buy their own drinks, and the drinks were really expensive. And so, like, people have been like, oh, you know, he wants free stuff, but he can't give people free drinks at his victory party. Got to head off, but thank you for the stream. Thanks for your contributions. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you're out of the clutches of capital. And I'm going to leave it there anyway because I do have to go myself. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out. I just wanted to leave you with that little tidbit because we don't see the drama and the behind the scenes of what happens with the campaign, but it would seem that Mamdani has rode the wave of revolutionary potential, which I'm all about. Is revolutionizing, like capitalism, obviously, but like revolutionizing the party system in order to achieve some type of goal that is like beyond capitalism. And like as a democratic socialist, we have heard him talk on this stream about like, you know, first we capture, like we get this position and then we can look at other socialist agenda things. Like, you know, he even mentioned seizing the means of production. And so I was like, hey, maybe this is the wedge. Mamdani is a democratic socialist who's going to try and bring in the wedge. And then somebody else tries to be revolutionary and take on the party establishment, like hardcore, not the city, but like an important city, but take on the party establishment and hit them where it hurts. And he's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's not enough room for too many revolutionaries up in here. That's unfortunate. So I thought I would share this drama with you because I got it from a great source. And I had to share. So thank you very much for your interactions today. I do really appreciate it. Remember, Indoctrinathan is going live on Twitch in like 40 minutes. So if you're able to go over to Twitch, don't forget, and keep the afters going, that Friday vibe, keep that vibe going. But thank you everybody for your interactions, and thanks if you've been hanging out. Yeah, if you've been hanging out this afternoon as well, I do appreciate it. And enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your weekend. Tick tock, tick tock. Yeah, I know, right? It's in my head now. The video did work. He's saying tick tock. Yeah, enjoy your weekends and escape the clutches of capital. Try to get some freedom into your life as much as you can. That's how we will aspire to a world beyond capitalism and freedom for working people of the world. It's valuing that little piece of freedom that we get. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, 4AS. Do appreciate it. And until next time, please remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery